Okay, hello. Special announcement. TrueAnon listeners. This is our 50th episode.
Big 5-0.
The big 5-0, which is halfway to the big 100. Mm-hmm. Which maybe someday we'll get there.
Centennial.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
This
That's
is
nice.
our silver jubilee.
So we have extra special gift to you, our dear listeners, our little gumshoes that we love so much. We have an insane, totally fucking insane 2-hour interview right now.
Yeah, and it is not just a 2-hour interview. We're not calling some fucking guy on the phone, even though every time we've done that, it has been sick as fucking hell. We're not doing that. No, we actually have with us in studio. Who do we have, Liz?
That would be like Yasha Levine.
And here's the thing.
They don't even fucking know.
They don't even fucking know. My man is bulletproof. They come at him, they can't get him. That's why he fits right in with the TrueAnon thing. I actually don't come at us really that often, but they will maybe
someday.
One day. Yeah. I gotta make more mistakes. Possibly, stream games.
No. Okay. So this is a super long episode, but as a gift too, we decided not to split this up into two because we go, the TrueAnon way. We go all over the place. So this week, free episode, Patreon, bang, bam, boom, in one package for you.
Yeah. We are putting a little bow on this bad boy and putting it under your menorah.
So
did you get Hanukkah presents when you were younger?
Yeah, my mom would be like, let's see what the Hanukkah man left.
They
really?
Dude, Hanukkah presents fucking sucks.
Man? That's really cute.
Yeah, we stopped doing Hanukkah when my Jewish half of my family all died, but Christmas, I remember, was far superior.
As a holiday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a great holiday.
Also, God's real.
Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein.
They're not, the Soviet Union isn't really good with the soft power stuff.
No.
It's just horrible at it.
Which is funny because so many Americans think the opposite.
No,
because
totally.
of American propaganda or whatever. But they're like, oh, the Soviets used to do all this crazy stuff. It's like, no, the Americans did all that.
Americans
stuff.
are really good at soft power.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I'm kind of a product of that soft power, right? So the reason I'm here in America, the reason my family's even here is because of the soft power, because I'm a Soviet Jew who was rescued, right, from totalitarianism.
I was going to say Levine.
Yeah, Lewandowski was our real name, but my dad changed it when we got citizenship.
Yeah.
But the reason we're here is because of the soft power. In fact, I was at the Hoover Institution just now.
Oh, that's like the biggest communist archive in the world, too,
they have communist stuff, but they have a lot of right-wingers. I mean, Milton Friedman is there.
No, it's a right-wing archive, but
yes.
they have the biggest collection of communist stuff.
They have a lot of it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And so they have a lot of Cold War stuff, and they have a lot of the Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty archives. They have them there, and then they have all the various people who are associated with them. So I was looking through this guy named Gene Sossin's archive. He was like this guy who was a key player in setting up Radio Liberty, which is Liberty was basically broadcast into the Soviet Union and in all these different languages, and the whole point was to weaponize nationalism.
I know all about that. They had like in every
that was the stated goal to create weaponize nationalism. Break up the international nature of the Soviet Union and basically accentuate the differences and play up the differences and play people against each other. Yeah. And so like this guy, then there's like it's crazy shit. Like Radio Liberty was a CIA project for its first like 20 I guess like 20 years, and then it was exposed, and then it was sort of went kind of like into the open, and it was still funded by Congress, but still like half of it is still CIA, and even to this day,
it's RFE/RL.
Yeah, because they used to be two different ones, and then they merged after the Cold War. So Radio Free Europe was just like into the Soviet like sort of blocks, like Poland, sort of not. And then Radio Liberty was into the Soviet Union and into all the different Soviet republics, and so they were and they were even broadcasting into Cuba, because they were, but not in Spanish, but in Russian, because they were like Russian or Soviet soldiers stationed in Cuba. So they were broadcasting from America just for like whatever, how many thousand,
a few
like
thousand
whoever the fuck was
guys.
listening to that.
Yeah.
So like it was weird. So and I was just looking at these reports about the life of Soviet Jews, and then like they would do these weird things where they would do to gauge the effectiveness of their broadcast, because like they're run on this very commercial kind of mindset because it's an American broadcasting operation, even though it's the CIA front. They want what do you call it? Like feedback, basically audience reports. Like they want to know. They want to do audience testing, right?
Yeah,
like, are people?
Nielsen's.
Yeah, like but how do you do that in the Soviet Union?
Yeah.
And so what they do is they like send out basically spies to covertly talk to Soviet like tourists.
Amazing.
In Eastern Europe.
So just like opinion pollster spies.
Yeah, like
that's
like
very American.
And they strike up a conversation.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I met this dude in DC who was his grandpa was a Nazi collaborator from Ukraine, and he was doing that stuff, and it's pretty interesting. So there's like so I'm like that whole soft power stuff is so strong. I mean it's weird. You go in there and there's just like boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of this stuff, and it's like this almost academic, they take an academic approach to it.
Yeah.
It's very dry. They're like you can tell they like the Soviet Union because they're like they fetishize it. They're kind of like into the shit.
Yeah,
because they study it. But then
you're talking about the Hoover people.
Yeah, but no, just like the Radio Liberty people, the CIA people, the soft power people. They also want to destroy it.
Yes,
so but they like kind of fall in love with it.
Well, they know everything about. I mean,
I think you'd have to.
They're into it.
Yeah.
The best books I have about like the political economy of the Soviet Union and stuff. I got 2 of them. They're both by like intelligence guys from America. Because like they really get to know it, and it's that's.
No, I mean it's weird. It's weird. You're there and you're like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like your whole life, it's this guy. It's a central character in the creation of Radio Liberty. He's got all these he's like 50 boxes of material. And he's like. You open up anything and you see this guy's into he collects jokes, he collects little stories. He keeps abreast of all the developments in culture and literature.
Yeah.
And like you're working to destroy that thing.
Exactly. So you're creating like one of the greatest like kind of compilations or like the sort of views into Soviet life.
Yeah.
With the aim of destroying all.
But also but it's also like collecting the fetishes almost. So then you can like. It's like collecting that sort of Native American headdress or something that you can then display it on your team logo or put it in a museum. It's fucking weird. It's like I got disturbed because I just came here straight from there, and like it was I couldn't even do it anymore. I was like, it's disgusting. Because you're watching it's like a guy into the mind of some kind of sociopath because. It's like there's no emotion in any of these documents, any of these because there's like letters. They're talking about programs, how they're writing scripts for radio programs. They're discussing how we can improve them. They're like taking audience, basically polling.
What is the audiences?
That? Yeah.
Were audiences receptive to it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, my dad listened to that stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my dad, and I don't think Radio Liberty as much, but he listened to Voice of America.
Yeah.
And he listened to the Deutsche Welle.
Well, it's funny because
it had a big impact on him. He listened to music, the cultural programs. Had an impact on him, and I mean they weren't the only reason why he wanted to leave, because I mean he was not a fan of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, it's not like he listened to the radio one time.
They fucked him. I mean they really did like stop him from entering like the better universities. He was eligible. He was like because of his Jewish, because there were quotas, and if you're just like don't have any connections,
you're fucked.
You are if you have connections. You're okay.
Yeah.
You don't have connections, so it's like if you're of the lower class, basically. You're kind of screwed because the quota system kicks in, and so he was bitter, which I understand it, and like there was no like they kind of they fucked him in every different way, and my mom too, but the cultural programming had a huge impact on him for sure. And they had they targeted. I'm not sure if he listened. I don't think he listened to the Jewish ones, but they had specific ones targeting sort of Soviet Jews, and like special programs, like then they expanded those stuff when the movement really started gaining steam inside the Soviet Union. So America has probably the best soft power apparatus. In like the history of like
it's
of
funny
the universe.
Because it was originally Britain that was really good at it, especially in World War II. The British sort of like, especially with the black propaganda they called it, the radio stations and stuff. It was really like, I mean, they had very specific ones, and like they did it again like extremely scientifically. The Germans did it too, of course. Like the Germans But they were always like also torn because like some people, I guess, like in the intelligence apparatus wanted to like exploit the whatever Ukrainians,
local,
the local population,
communities,
and then the army and sort of the Nazi Party apparatus were like, no, we can just kill them. Like,
I mean, it's a problem. It's hard to win people over when you say that you are the master race and you're going to genocide them.
Yeah.
That's kind of an issue. It's like
Ukrainians, I will say. A lot of them did fall for. I went to Ukraine, and they.
Well, I mean, because there was like you said, there was a schism inside sort of the Nazi sort of command, and some people wanted to use them because they realized that this is like it's a wasted opportunity. But
exactly.
And they did use them as, especially after Stalingrad, when Soviets started winning. I mean, they were Ukrainians were given a lot more power.
The Hiwis.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I mean, when you have a genocidal. Ideology
it's
like that.
Work.
It's like you're not gonna. But I mean, America's perfect because it's all. I mean, it's like this sort of democratic, this focus on democracy and this focus on sort of like identity politics. Which is the nationalism. It was the first identity politics really. You use that as a way of like heightening divisions between people. And I mean, look at the same. It's with like with Soviet Jews. I can sort of understand. It's like you were born. You're the Soviet Jew, you're born totally secular after the war. Let's say you're this baby boomer class. And you don't know what Jewish is, like you don't really give a shit. And then suddenly, but you're kind of anti-Soviet maybe a little bit already. And suddenly this thing comes along and saying like, you're actually a Jew.
Yeah.
You're different. You're not like these kind of like these Slavs around you.
Exactly.
You have this 4,000, 5,000 year history.
Yeah.
You have a homeland.
There's a country.
Yeah. And look how cool they are. They're winning. They're kicking those Arabs' asses.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
and they're tan and look at all the girls.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have a special mission and you're special. I mean, you're special. Your identity makes you special. And like
that's funny because that's like as they still say that to us.
Yes.
Well, no, I mean
like,
that's what I'm thinking because it's like I do
Israel.
really think this is like a running theme on our podcast. Is like so many Americans, particularly like who are perhaps just new to like leftist politics and leftist history or whatever. Which, by the way, totally fine. But it's like there's some weird idea that like you say, the soft power apparatus or the state and the CIA, like all this stuff ended.
Oh yeah,
with the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Like the kind of internalization of the end of history, and like I mean, I think for decades leftists have been trying to figure out how to push against that.
Yeah,
but but
it is really weird, and it's or that it's like something that would never be turned inward on the state. That the state wouldn't use against its own people, which is just like laughable on its face.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, it's not true.
Like,
also because, like, when you actually look at this stuff, when you look at just the propaganda apparatus, the government propaganda, you actually see that there's a constant revolving door between the corporate networks and their executives.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, even to today, I can't remember the guy's name. I mean, if you actually look at every administration, there's always the head of they keep changing the names. Today it's the U.S. Agency for Global Media.
Yes.
Which is called USAGM. Like
terrible.
I hate SAGM.
USAGM, babe. So before it was the Broadcasting Board of Governors.
Yes.
Before that was the USAID, Information Agency. And then, so anyway, you see that the top people appointed by the president to run those things are usually have come from like running CBS or running NBC or running some like Hollywood studio.
Right.
I mean, so like, and so the connections between them and like, I mean, for instance, the guy who founded I can't remember his name, but the guy who founded the Columbia Journalism Review. So it's just like very revered, journalistic watchdog institution. What they say is law, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy who founded it used to work for. I mean, I can't remember what it was called then, but it was basically USAGM. So he was the head of U.S. government propaganda I think it was in the 60s and 70s. So it's like.
Well, look at all the stuff that came out about the Iowa Writers Workshop.
Exactly.
Exactly. But but that's
incredible, by the way.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I know. I regret
they're among
there.
us. Yeah.
We should let's just keep it going. We should say welcome to TrueAnon.
Yes.
That was just an intro.
Yeah, I think we're just going right in. We have special guests here.
We are joined by Masha Gessen.
Exactly.
No, we are joined by Yasha Levine. I don't even know how to introduce you. How do you want to? You have a long and storied pedigree.
I mean, just a guy from, just a guy.
Just a guy.
He's just a guy looking at a girl, asking her to.
No, this is Yasha Levine of the exile of putting out Surveillance Valley, a book that made a lot of people, I think, a little angry.
Yeah.
People get mad at you, which I really respect.
Yeah, people do get mad at me.
Is it because you're not a nerd? Well, you're kind of a nerd. You're just an archive.
Well, but that's not. Yeah, but
That's like different.
Yeah, I don't go there very often.
But
But
wait.
I know the archives are. Yeah.
A huge. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Huge fan. I gotta say, you sag 'em. Want to keep on that.
You sag 'em.
You
Yeah,
sag
yeah,
'em.
yeah.
Want to keep on you sag 'em.
You sag 'em.
Because. Fuck me. All right, now I'm.
That's
fucked
what
up.
That's what people inside you sag 'em call it. Actually,
That's-
they,
really?
that's what they told me about it.
Really?
It's like the people inside you sag 'em call it you sag 'em.
So
That's a
could-
Trump thing, by the way.
Amazing.
That's what he changed it to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's,
Yeah, that's
he's
actually
a big
very
branding
Trumpian.
guy.
That's a Trumpian thing to say.
It is kind
Yeah.
of.
You sag 'em.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
BBG. What the fuck is that?
Fuck, it sounds
Yeah.
like the BBC. That's
Yeah,
too.
you sag
yeah,
'em.
Yeah. So they have. Your work is focused a lot on. I hate fucking nerds, so I'm really excited about this because
Cool.
I'm like.
Oh, yeah,
Not a
yeah.
fan of
Yeah, we're
technology.
Yes.
Don't
anti-nerd.
like. I don't get how it works, and I don't like it.
I mean, I'm basically like on the all this should just be destroyed too.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is no
Yeah.
like making it better for humanity.
Yeah.
But people get mad at me for saying that, call me a Luddite.
But people get mad at you because you point out that Tor,
Yeah.
which I am too dumb to explain and thus cannot use. But if I was, let me tell you this: if I was still getting high and being a doper, would absolutely buy drugs off of it.
Yeah.
100%.
A lot of
well,
people
not
do.
now. A lot of people do, which I'm very
Like,
surprised
still.
because
People
that
do it,
seems
yeah.
high above. I did not often have a cell phone. So
I mean,
I'm not sure how
buying
people
off
do
of it and selling on it are two different things. I think buying is
Yeah.
is always safer. Just because
yeah.
because you're
Because
just
that's
can
not
put
who
it
they're
anywhere,
looking for.
yeah.
because you're but I mean but although it could maybe not be very safe, you know, like but yeah, it's. I mean, it's funny that we talk because Tor is funded by the very
Exactly.
Yeah, so the USAGM funds Tor, you know.
So
and-
can you explain that a little bit?
Well, okay, so Tor is this thing that's supposed to hide you from, make
Yeah.
you anonymous on the internet. So
Yes.
it became huge, particularly after Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because he made Tor like the center of his resistance, of his technological resistance. He uses Tor. He used Tor to like communicate with Glenn Greenwald and all this shit, like and sort of coordinate the sort of the leaks. And he was a huge advocate of crypto and encryption technology as a way of protecting our privacy on the internet from all these bad like government agencies. Because Edward Snowden is a libertarian, and he has a very hardcore libertarian worldview.
Yep.
And that does not really believe in politics. He doesn't think that politics or political action or people coming together and organizing in some kind of way will actually solve anything through a political system, because he thinks politics is inherently corrupt.
Right.
It's inherently going to be skewed by the human condition.
That is like a very big sort of theme among technologists,
Yeah.
as they call themselves.
I was
Like,
going to
that's
just
a
say
huge
also
thing.
just the Bay Area. Like those kind of, what do they call themselves? Rationalists?
Oh, yes.
Like
Yeah,
that whole
it's very,
weird
like,
community.
So exactly. I mean, so he was in this moment when this was still like the Obama years, right? So like it was a moment. It was like before Bernie Sanders, when it kind of derailed that whole movement. But everybody was like a libertarian curious at the time.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody believed in some kind of people were saying, "Oh, Ron Paul, yeah, he's
totally.
Exactly.
he's KKK, but he's kind of cool though."
I know that was
Because you also
so
had
wild.
Occupy, which was like kind of
and just
also
the
had its
interplay.
own.
I mean,
Decentralized
Occupy,
kind of thing.
Yeah,
exactly, but there was this urge towards decentralization that had parts that were both ostensibly left and right, but in the final analysis, essentially ended up being the same thing.
Well, that's
which
why-
was like grifters coming out, guys like Tim Pool, Mika White, all
Totally.
these people that came out of Occupy
Yeah.
and just became just
all
scumbags.
entrepreneurs or
all
whatever.
entrepreneurs, exactly.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I was actually in LA when Occupy Wall Street was happening. So there was the Occupy LA like encampment. It was pretty big.
Yeah.
And then there was when I was reporting on the raid, and I was arrested with like the occupiers, and I was like a cop was taking a video of me, shooting a video just like for their files, which I then got because I went to court with them. And I was like, actually behind me was this giant mural of the Federal Reserve octopus.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, man, this is some Alex Jones shit right there at Occupy. And there was a big strain of that in LA. I mean, I'm sure it was. I don't know how it was in New York.
Yeah, audit
but
the Fed.
I wouldn't exactly.
Yeah.
So there were like the audit the Fed people, which were basically Ron Paulites.
We want to end the Fed, though. She hasn't been able to fully explain to me what the Fed is, but I don't think I like it. I don't like. I'm not a big money guy.
Yeah,
So
you're not a
that's
big
where
money
they make
guy.
it. I don't want it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Fed runs the banks run the Fed.
Yeah.
Decide which one you like.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably, it's kind of the other way around.
I mean,
So
the Fed is the banking system essentially.
Well,
Yeah.
people who go check out how I bring this one back. People who also don't like the banks, Bitcoin people who use Tor.
Yeah, of course.
So Tor funded by USAC.
Well, there was a whole right wing kind of. I mean, because the Fed is political. I mean, this is the whole thing. I think it gets full circle.
Yeah.
People pretend like it's not political. You have like Alan Greenspan, talking voodoo,
and
saying like, oh, the whatever the fuck he says, and saying that like,
yeah.
people are like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. It's magical,
Yes, yeah.
But the Fed is political. Like as we
Of
see now,
course.
like we see the Fed dropping interest rates for that the banks are charged because like the stock market was going down a little bit.
Yeah.
In order to inflate the stock market,
Yeah.
and that was that was a human decision, a political decision, a very much political decision.
Absolutely.
And so money and the value of money and like sort of the way that money is used, and I mean it's a political decision.
Absolutely.
And so it's just that it sort of has a certain politics attached to it now, which is essentially corporate politics and sort of Wall Street politics.
Yeah.
But it can be done in a different way. But it's still a politics control the money. So I think that the
yeah.
right wingers and like sort of libertarians and sort of this Koch libertarians and the Ron Paul libertarians, like they don't like the Fed. I mean, as an ideological thing, I think because it sort of shows that money and that's like
political.
value of our labor or resources or anything of everything is a political construct.
Right.
It's not just this neutral
Well,
thing.
also,
like,
there's
like
no-
Bitcoin or gold or something.
For
yeah,
the Kochs,
yeah.
I mean, it's impossible to sell austerity if people understand that money is political.
Yes.
And that's like the big, I mean, say whatever people want if they like MMT or don't like MMT. But the biggest power it has is like explaining to people that all of this that money is political
Yeah.
and that like these decisions aren't just like math that makes sense that you were taught.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the Kochs, Pete Peterson, the Koch brothers rely on all of those kind of myths and, like you say, depoliticizing these kind of institutions in order to, at the end of the day, just sell more and more austerity.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, exactly. And so, like, the idea is that you can, because there are these levers that are in place to give, in theory, some political movement comes into power that could use these levers against, the powerful, in theory, It's very hard, actually, to do that, and these institutions might actually have to be completely changed. But the point is like, that's the idea. I mean, there's like the idea, there's the ideology and the movement, and then there's a sort of like, it's the Kochs love the Federal Reserve. The Kochs basically run their own, like, Midwestern Wall Street. Koch Industries is like a huge, it lends money. It's like, it lends money to cities. It lends money to municipalities. It's like they have like a kind of a privatized almost a Wall Street, like in Wichita,
Right.
That they run. It's it's pretty insane. No one, so I'm sure that they borrow money from the Fed, and so they profit off of it, obviously, while also selling this idea to distrust the government, to distrust any kind of politics and stuff like that. So I mean, so Tor is connected to all that because it's for Snowden. He distrusted politics, and so he said, okay, well, what do we do about surveillance? Because surveillance is, being carried out by political institutions. I mean, by the NSA, by the government, by corporations. These are all like, but he doesn't want to use politics to take on surveillance.
He's searching for a technological solution.
Exactly, like a gun. He wants to defeat their gun with an even bigger gun.
Well, which I will say, I am sympathetic to the literal gun argument there.
Yeah.
Because I do often think that if one person has a smaller gun, another person has a larger gun, then the larger gun will generally win out. But you can't build a larger gun than the NSA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, exactly. I mean,
but also on top of the gun that they already have.
Yeah,
like it's building.
Exactly.
I feel like that's like one of your, where you split with a lot of people is that you're like, no, because this is literally you're building into a system that is like you can't change that system. This isn't like just a free, like you say, depoliticized system.
Yeah,
that's just
exactly.
It's like it's already compromised. It's pre-compromised.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, if you're gonna take the NSA, I mean, it's like the idea that if you have a couple of handguns in your house, you're gonna be able to like hold off the National Guard.
Exactly.
If they come for you. No, I mean, it's just not. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you take a hostage.
But you take a hostage. Yeah, your mom.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah, your mom. Yeah. Yeah.
Just kidding, Jen. I will not take it.
No, I mean, so it's ridiculous. It's a fantasy again, but that becomes the politics. The guns become the politics.
Yeah.
Sort of the guns become a stand-in for the politics. And so, I mean, so
Right.
Tor is actually just like the gun. It's like the NRA argument, but on the internet.
Yeah, good guy with a gun.
Yeah, the good guy
Exactly,
with the gun defeats the bad guy with the gun. And so, Edward Snowden, promoted this gun as like the thing that'll save you from surveillance. And, and he would call on people to be like, we must build these tools. He would do these like talks to engineers around the world with his like Roomba, that he does with his video Roomba thing that he lives in.
I didn't know that. Wow.
No, it's a telepresence.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
that. They had one
Yeah.
at the mall.
Telepresence.
That I saw.
I
yeah.
hate it
There's
so
an Israel
much.
one too. Israel has one.
What do you mean?
They have like an Israel robot that like will yell at you at some place. I
You
saw
mean
a
like-
video of it.
You mean like a security guard?
No, it's like a robot, like with like it's like those hoverboards,
Yeah.
with like a stick,
Yeah.
and then a video screen,
Yeah.
and then there's a guy from Israel that'll tell you to like Israel on it.
What?
I've seen a
Oh,
video
really?
of it.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
it's like a
And then, like
propaganda
in a
thing.
mall?
In like a mall, yeah,
weird.
or maybe it was like an APAC or something. Probably at a political conference.
They'd have those, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see how everyone at APAC got coronavirus?
Did they? Oh, that'd be pretty awesome.
Oh
No,
my
they had to
God.
quarantine a bunch of like Israel's
my
like, no,
God.
actually, we think that you were like that you may have
that'd be
contracted coronavirus.
fantastic.
So we have to like quarantine you.
That's funny. Were they all in Palestine?
Yeah. They just put no. We got to put you in this
quarantine for
zone.
you.
They put you in the
We
west.
got a
They put
special
you in
one. Yeah.
Gaza.
We already built one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to build one.
They were planning for
Jesus.
this.
Yeah. Quarantine. Yeah, no.
God, dude, what if they do? Fuck.
That is crazy.
Yeah, if they just gave.
I mean,
capacity.
I don't know if anyone's been to Palestine, but it's a pretty weird place. Like
No.
it's got it's like the mashup of all my favorite movies. Like it's like it's like Total Recall.
Yeah.
Because they control all the resources. They can sort of cut off
turn off the
oxygen
water
and-
anytime.
Yeah, turn off the water, turn off the power, close all the roads.
Yeah.
Close the borders. So
Precision strike you like in your living room.
Exactly.
Or
And
just like bomb your entire.
it's totally
block.
Total Recall on Mars. And then there's also I mean, it's sort of like Starship Troopers because it's a very Verhoeven like landscape. Yeah, like so it's because it's all these hot like young people.
Yeah.
Being fascists.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and the uniform
And-
is
and-
very like it's a very. It's
yeah, and
not,
then you have
it's
also
not-
multicultural. So you'll have like the Israelis. You'll have like Ethiopian Jews.
Yeah, that is
You'll
like
have like you'll
Starship
have white
Troopers.
kind of Jews. You'll have sort of like more like darker Jews. So it's like a total. Like it's like it's like one of those palette kind of
Yeah.
things. It's like totally multicultural fascism.
Benetton.
But they're all yes, but they're all Jewish, and
Yeah.
fascist. And then you have in time.
Or they're Russian Nazis they imported in the 90s. To
Yeah,
keep up
yeah, but
birth rates.
that means so yeah, like what? Yeah, so you
Yeah,
got
yeah,
white
exactly.
to dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so, and then it's like I don't know. In Time is a movie that I like that a few people know actually.
Time?
In Time.
Oh, In Time. I don't think I saw
It's
it.
God, it's by the director. I can't remember his name. It's the guy he made Gattaca.
Oh, I liked Gattaca. Which
Yeah,
Gattaca? The
you
old
got-
Gattaca or new Gattaca?
The new one. With,
I like both of them,
with,
so we're
yeah.
safe.
Yeah, it's cool.
The
Yeah.
one that's in Marin County Courthouse.
Oh,
Is that where they
that's
filmed
the
it?
that's the Gattaca building in it.
the eugenics
Oh, no
thing.
shit.
Yeah.
I can't remember his fucking name.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke?
Ethan Hawke is the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy,
he's
but
the-
I'm
but
not
he
the
directed
director.
No, Ethan Hawke is the director. No, he's not the director. No, he's
You can't shrug. You're the only one who has access to a phone.
He's so In Time is actually a fucking great movie. No one knows it. You
Yeah.
should watch it. Justin Timberlake is in the main role, but he's
Huh.
great in it. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's
he's not a
basically
terrible
it's like
actor.
literally they take the idea that
he's not
time
good.
is money literally.
Andrew
Yeah.
Niccol?
Andrew Niccol, yes, exactly.
Time is money, literally.
So when you hit I think 20 or something or 21, your clock turns on.
Oh, I remember. I saw
Wait,
the trailer
what?
for that. There's
Yeah.
like a clock in your arm.
Yeah, there's like a clock in your arm, genetically
Yeah.
genetically engineered. Everyone's genetically engineered. You like once you hit like whatever 20, you stop aging.
Okay.
Oh.
You don't age.
Okay.
So then you have like 10 years to live. And so, but when your wages are time. So you go to the factory, they fucking pay you in time.
yes.
Oh wait, so like
I
so
see.
when
So
I hit
your
20
life, you get to. I see. You
So
work
the richer
for your life,
you are,
literally.
basically you are literally you can live forever.
So like I
if you're a
get
million-
banked. I get banked 10 years at 20, but I have to build on that by.
So let's say you're like, yeah, they're like, let's say they're saying, oh yeah, we're docking you because you were late. You know, it's like, boom, you're like, oh shit, but I actually have to pay my bills. I pay my bills. I just, I factored in that I got only enough just to get home, so that and then you can also transfer money between people.
Okay, yeah.
And so like
I would do that.
And so, but no, so time is money. I mean, so and like your life is money. And so it's a great point. So but you have all these different. So in order to move through a city, so like you're like, let's say you're in the. It's also cool because you have like your mom and your like sister could look exactly the same age.
My dream.
Or you're exactly.
Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden.
He lives. I mean, he does live in time.
Yeah.
Except he does age.
It does take you out of it.
But in order to move from the low class neighborhoods to the more expensive ones, you actually literally have to pay with time. So like it's a fee of a certain amount of time. And so when you go between Israel, let's say like Jerusalem, and sort of the West Bank, you it's like you cross that zone.
Yeah,
you cross that like that class zone because it isn't just racially,
right.
It's a poor, much poorer. Everything's more fucked up.
The average age is like similar. 19, right? In Gaza.
I haven't been to Gaza. I haven't been to Gaza.
Yeah, but like
you can't. Just in the West Bank.
Yeah. But it's like the average age of Palestinians is super young.
Yeah.
It's
there's a lot of young people there, but yeah. So it's like it actually is a very quarantined. Like, it feels quarantined. Yeah, it feels like a quarantined area for. I mean, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I know. It's insane.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know, when we were reading about a lot of the like transhumanist stuff and all that technology and
Alcor,
all the but also it's like all the Ray Kurzweil stuff, and it's like you never know how much from people we've talked to, it's very like pie in the sky still.
Yeah.
Like some of the gene therapy stuff and what they think they can do with like anti-aging and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, man. It's like, it already feels like we live in Gattaca world.
Yeah.
And and it's increasingly so.
We have confirmed some body mods on some technologies. I'll tell you, I can't say it on air, but I'll tell you afterwards because I was sworn to secrecy. On air secrecy. I wasn't sworn to just personal secrecy.
So yeah, just your fans can't know.
Yeah, exactly. I can't tell everybody.
But it does hearing about that, I'm like, fuck, that is like a dream come true.
Yeah. The being always 20.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, but not just for people, but it's like a perfect devil's bargain for capitalists. Like
You know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was that Peter Thiel. There was that story about Thiel like getting infusions of blood from younger people, and that was like
the startup that he started.
Exactly. It was like 2 on the nose.
But actually that whole thing was actually started by like basically communists. So the like blood transfusions as a way of curing diseases was so the guy, his name is Bogdanov. Is like he was a sci-fi writer, but he was also like kind of a pioneering.
What
doctor.
era?
I mean, we're talking about like the 20s.
Okay, that was
he died from a blood transfusion because he didn't.
This does not sound promising, Yasha.
They didn't realize that there were blood groups.
Oh, yeah.
No, but but that's the whole thing. It does work. So if you inject young blood, basically a healthy person, shares their blood with a diseased person. Yeah. They actually, it was already back then they were finding out that you can cure diseases that way.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's Keith
Richards
literally does that.
When my wife and I have a kid, I'm be like, you know what? That's your debt to me,
Like, you got to give me an ounce a month.
or no inheritance,
Yeah,
there you go. There you go.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I mean, why not, And then they probably, they should want to do that.
I mean, depends on how big your inheritance would be. You got to write a few more books, I feel like.
True that, yeah. I got this Substack that I run. I can give as an inheritance.
I promised my child a portion of my Patreon earnings.
Yeah, there you go.
If he'll give me blood and hair. I can get hair plugs as well.
No, you don't.
I don't need hair plugs. I want to make that very clear to our listeners. I have a really... I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I'm bald and proud, man.
Yeah. You do it
looks
well.
good. It's a good look.
If it makes you feel better, I can't grow a beard.
Oh,
that
sucks.
Yeah, it's not great.
I mean, it's less of a stigma than being bald.
I don't know. I spent time in the Middle East and no mustache there, not great. In other areas, no beard, not great.
You're like, they think you're like a eunuch or something?
They're just like, what's wrong with you? Literally, people would be like, do you have something wrong? Because there'd be like a 14-year-old with a full beard being like, what's up with you, man? Like, I'm like, you've eaten meat once in your life. Like, And
you look like you can have a beard.
I look like it. See, it goes for about 3 weeks, and then it's like, oh, it's just really long individual strains of not the hair that's the same color as my hair.
Really funny.
It's really bizarre. I look like somebody who's like really excited to go to a Renaissance fair. It's a Viking. But he's like 14 and can't grow facial hair yet.
Man,
it's just like long red hair. It's awful.
Wow,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Back to Tor.
Oh yeah, Tor.
So, because I do want to it's not just Tor that we're talking about. It's basically all broader encryption solutions. We'll call them. So
technological solutions to political problems.
Signal.
Yes.
It's one. I know a lot of people use that.
Yeah, everyone, all the activists use it, right?
Yeah,
I think that's so insane.
Yeah,
by the way.
So that's a big thing. I'm in DSA, and that's a big thing. Like
everyone
DSA
uses
people,
Signal.
everyone uses Signal. People will be like,
but that's how you know they're not actually doing anything dangerous.
Well,
for instance, I'm on this. Yeah, like this list for in LA of this homeless sort of support.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's using Signal.
Exactly.
But it's just a default thing that people use. I mean,
exactly.
You're not
it makes for fine chat rooms or whatever.
But it's not. It's kind of a clunky.
It's pretty buggy too.
It's a clunky software.
I don't think it's a great app.
Well, I think the thing with that is funded by who?
Well, it was funded by the CIA. Basically.
Okay, that's
in essence. I mean, so it was funded by this thing called the Open Technology Fund, which was so there's several layers to it. So there's Open Technology Fund that was within Radio Free Asia, and Radio Free Asia is within the Broadcasting Board of Governors, which is now USAGM. So and Radio Free Asia was like a CIA project.
Yeah. So Radio Free Asia are the people that are like Kazakhstan, or just who covers Kazakhstan?
I think that would probably be Radio Liberty.
Okay, so Radio Free Asia is like
Tibet. Vietnam,
Tibet,
China, like Southeast Asia.
They're like China. You should go outside.
Yeah, exactly. So, they're anti-communist, and they were set up. I mean, there are two different iterations of that one. The first one was I think went back to like 1949. And they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna send all these, we're gonna broadcast, radio signals in mainland China, against anti-communist stuff,
and those signals too for spies.
Yeah, but they realized they're like, oh shit, no one in China has a radio.
yeah, true.
And I'm serious, they're like, wait. People are like peasants that live in the countryside.
Yeah. That's amazing.
No fucking radios.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
And so then they're like, okay, we'll airdrop a bunch of radios.
Oh, they did that in Korea too, I think.
But then the radios then switched the air, the airstream switched directions and it flew the other way. So it didn't. So they canned it. They canned it pretty quickly, for a couple of years.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
No, I know. But then they rebooted it again, and then that's the version that exists now.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's a private nonprofit corporation, completely funded by the U.S. government. So when you try to, let's say, FOIA Radio Free Asia, you're there like, oh, we're not a government agency.
Oh, wow. So that's a really great workaround, is they can just and that's a totally legal...
Totally. Well, I mean, it hasn't been tested in the courts.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's... No, but, well, I mean...
Ken Klippenstein.
I actually would I've been trying to get people interested in it. I mean, I myself have I want to test that because it's a huge thing because the government uses that in all sorts of spheres to hide accountability.
I mean, they do. Yes. I actually thought up until now. I mean, I know what Radio Free Asia, Radio Free Europe was for a really long time. I thought up until now that Radio Free Asia was just part of the government.
Well, it is. It's like the government created a corporation.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's still, if you look at the organizational chart of this whole broadcasting thing, it would be the Broadcasting Board of Governors, and then all these different branches, and then Radio Free Asia is in that organizational chart, and then the people who head these corporations are picked by. Actually, I'm not sure who picks it. Probably the head of the Broadcasting Board of Governors, or head of SAGM. So they're government employees. They're funded by Congress. The whole thing is weird. So the Open Technology Fund was created within the Radio Free Asia, and it is its own. It was its own kind of unit, administrative unit within Radio Free Asia. So it's twice removed from the federal government, and it was created inside that, particularly I think to hide it from oversight, but also because Radio Free Asia had the most experience with like internet like funding various internet technologies against China to penetrate the Chinese firewall.
Yeah, is that to spread propaganda? Because I know China can block websites.
China was the only country really that started doing like from the very beginning that the internet.
I remember hearing about it from the beginning.
Like they were the first ones and the only ones really. Other countries like maybe Cuba, but internet came much later to Cuba.
Yeah.
But it like. China would like immediately said no, like what the fuck is this? Like like you got Radio Free Asia dot like whatever.
Exactly, not
like,
happening.
Like we're just gonna block you.
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
You're gonna do and so like and America's like, oh my god, you're blocking a website.
Exactly. It's like
that's like they're like
the
saying,
craziest thing they've ever heard.
That's an attack on freedom. And
well,
so
it's funny because so many companies block websites from like their internet here. I mean, I've never worked at a company that let me use a computer at work, but I know that a lot
but only because of your background, not because of
but I know a lot of like companies won't let you look at
they'll
here.
be like, there's no Facebook allowed on the corporate.
There's actually a reverse thing too, because when I was in Russia, I was like trying to access some smaller newspapers, and they actually block traffic from Russia. Because they think it's malicious.
Yeah.
I do want to get into that later.
So it's actually like
we'll be talking about Russia.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's why Radio Free Asia had experience. They funded actually all these different groups. One of the groups that was creating the earliest technology to do like so basically what do they call it? Censorship
circumvention.
Circumvention.
Yeah.
And it was actually Falun Gong that was writing the software. So the Falun Gong was getting like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's like technology.
This is before Shenyang.
Yeah, it's exactly.
So real quick, if we may hop out of this, Falun Gong has to be the weird. I was talking about this with Felix yesterday. Has to be the weirdest fucking CIA project in history.
It is bizarre
because like their other guys are like they're dealing with like whatever like ex-Ustashi guys or like some psycho militant from whatever country.
MEK is a weird one too.
MEK is super
probably
weird.
rivals it, but here's the thing.
It's more crazy almost in a way,
but like they don't believe they can fly.
Yeah, well,
and
they don't
Falun Gong believe they can fly.
Well, not they, but their leader.
Yeah. Actually,
they think they can fly too. I don't.
No, but I was gonna say that's like
but
not too different.
They
from
believe that
MEK
they can. Their organs can fly.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's their whole thing is that they're being used for organ
harvesting. I mean, if you heard the Chinese organ harvesting story, they came from them.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
in fact, like because they have this newspaper that's everywhere.
Yeah. The Epic Times. Well, it's big here because there's a large Chinese.
Well, and it's like if you read it, it's like they have a movie review, and it's like it's just all window dressing so they can put in like the organ harvesting.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it really is. It's like it's really and they're huge now because Facebook and they figured out very early on.
And they're with Trump.
Exactly. They figured out very early on how to game Facebook's algorithms, or maybe they didn't figure it out. Maybe they were told. Who knows?
Right.
But they became like
or
this really influential. So you have like these 60-year-old aunts in the Las Vegas suburbs who haven't talked to their kids in 20 days, just on Facebook all day. Literally just like obsessively reading a Falun Gong propaganda organ. And now they have young white guys in black frame glasses they do video.
Warby Parker ads.
Exactly.
And they're hardcore pro-Trump,
super pro-Trump.
Super pro-Trump.
They're also slightly QAnon-y.
Yeah, they're totally QAnon.
Yeah.
They do the Trump conspiracy theory stuff, but they were the original Tor. They created the original. It wasn't exactly Tor because Tor has another side to it, which we'll get into. But they were building these things that would you basically. I mean, you don't hit a website directly. You hit it through this other sort of proxies. These are these sort of proxy servers, and so the Radio Free Asia was contracting with them to build these things, and so. When under Hillary Clinton, when the Internet Freedom Initiative sort of really took off, and because that was her big thing as Secretary of State, was like the Internet Freedom. It's like any country that blocks websites is essentially waging a war on democracy, and but it's also like a trade war because if you're blocking websites and if you're blocking access to American companies. It means that you're blocking business access, right? So with Yahoo and with Google and other technology companies, they're being basically, kept out of the market. Yeah. And so internet freedom became this thing. It's about, freedom of speech, but also freedom to do business, free trade.
Well, that's what they mean by freedom most of the time. Is freedom of markets. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was their whole thing. And so when that got going, they created this this unit called the Open Technology Fund. I think it was called Freedom to Connect.
Was it with a 2?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Lame.
I know,
Love
it's
it.
very lame.
Yeah.
And so, but then its open technology is kind of cooler because it's got 8-bit kind of art. You know?
Also, open
Yeah,
is
it's
like
very-
naming something open something is like very in.
You're also like, oh yeah, you're CIA, basically.
Yeah.
totally.
I
I know. I'm surprised they didn't name it like Cryptly.
Yeah, Cryptly. Yeah. Well, if they rename it again, it'll be. So the funding came from that.
For Signal, yeah. But Signal, and it was created by this guy named, actually a San Francisco guy. San Francisco, like,
That's not helping his case.
anarchist kind of hacker guy.
Really not helping his case.
He's like, his name, he goes by Marlon Spike or something like that.
Yes.
Like Moxie
Moxie
is
Marlin Spike.
Moxie Marlin
which
Spike.
is a fucking that.
He's like he has a boat, you know. He made his money by selling some like authentication or encryption thing to Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, and they bought it.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, he's like one of these, like, you know, liberal fucking like interventionist anarchist types,
Yeah.
you know.
He's Batman?
Interventionist type.
I
And so he
hate these
and so he
people so much.
And you know, like I don't know if he's friends with you know, what's that guy that got lost in the mountains in Iran?
Shane.
Oh, God.
Shane Bauer.
Oh.
He's like part of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of that clique. Anyway, the point is he's part of this sort of hacker collective, and he is, you know, runs with this sort of crypto people, and I don't. He was friendly with some State Department guy. I think I can't remember the details of.
I
like,
am floored right now to learn this.
Of the same. I can't remember the exact details of it, but he, you know, proposed this and he got funded, and so the seed money came from the Broadcasting Board of Governors through the Radio, you know, Free Asia through Open Technology Fund. Those are the first grants that came there. After it got kind of huge, especially after Edward Snowden, one of the guys, the co-creators of WhatsApp, he like exited Facebook and made this big stink about like, oh, Facebook is bad because it's helping whatever disinformation or something. And he's like, oh, I believe in privacy and all this shit. That's why I sold my, you know, chat app to Facebook.
Right.
Yeah,
'Cause I believe in
because
privacy.
Facebook started encrypting their chats, right? Yeah.
Well, no, because he wanted, because supposedly WhatsApp was super secure.
That's what
And
everyone said back then. Yeah.
And then later they started encrypting theirs. But anyway, the point is, WhatsApp encrypts its chats with Signal's algorithm.
Oh, so it's basically the same thing.
So that was the whole thing is like, oh, we're so cool. We're using the Signal's apps, you know, encryption technology.
I see.
So now I think they fund. There's like a bunch of money going to Signal. So I think that's why they have all these emojis and stuff now.
I gotta say, I hate the reacting in chat thing now. Get rid of it.
Come on, man. You got to go with what the kids are doing.
Yeah, I guess
You know,
that's
it's like,
Did you see? I just saw today that Twitter is like doing stories now.
I mean, Twitter, they're flailing.
This is so sad because it's like Twitter is so essential now. Like they can't get rid of Twitter. Like Twitter
Yeah.
is so essential to like the entire media apparatus. Like literally, that's all they do is hang. If you work in media, you have to hang out on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's also where you get all your stories, apparently.
Yeah.
And also how you do press, you know, government.
Exactly.
announcements
Yeah,
and shit.
no,
yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
but it's so
The
funny because I
president.
swear to fucking God, no one who works at Twitter actually uses Twitter. Because every like new thing that they push, it's like, no one wants this.
No,
This
no.
isn't how
I
any
mean,
of us use it.
It should just be like a national utility and then close down.
Yeah. And just because then like the government would be liable for, you know, all, like the
Yes.
libel and all the stuff that happens on there.
Yes, I could sue them.
You
and
can
make
sue the
some
government
money.
into
Yeah.
insolvency.
Also, I could look at people's chat logs if I did a FOIA request.
Yeah.
Interesting.
FOIA
So-
the girls' DMs.
But like, why? Yeah.
I knew you saw my text. I knew you saw it. Yeah. You just quit ignoring me.
But
Yeah.
let me riddle you this.
Yeah.
Let me riddle you this. Gee, what the fuck is wrong with me? Let me ask you this. Why would the government be interested in creating a chat app that was pushed as being super secure?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of different. There's a couple of different, you know, theories. I guess.
Yes,
You could say.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
or like points of view. So, I mean, part of why they initially sold it, right, was that you provide this thing to like, you know, the Arab Spring protesters.
Yes, yeah.
So that they can communicate, and it's all encrypted.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if someone's snooping on their IS, you know, their ISPs are watching them, that like, you know, they could sort of get around, you know, their government, and the government doesn't know what they're doing. So that's the whole rationale. Now, if they're funding this thing, and like you have people who are, you know, organizing against the U.S. government doing this, it's pretty clearly they wouldn't be funding something that is a danger to the government.
Of
Is not going to
course
be
not.
bankroll a technology that is a danger to itself. especially so there's clearly ways of getting around whatever that encryption is.
Yeah,
I mean, on what level that is, I think it's pretty high still. I think if you're trying to hide from your local cops, like they're not going to give access to the to the SFPD for this stuff.
Right.
I mean,
but the
they
FBI, absolutely.
The FBI. So the federal government. Again, it's like I think there's a lot of different ways you can get around it. So I mean, because there's this cult of encryption. The idea that encryption is like math and like it's like physics, like this math. And like Mika Lee from The Intercept, like he would be like, math is like encryption is like. Because it's like math, and math is like physics, and physics is nature. So like it's literally the laws of nature, man. Like you can't fuck with the laws of nature. That's how powerful encryption is.
I have a
like
learned.
It's like gravity.
It's like I just want to how do these people not understand power?
No, but also
power.
It's also a screen.
Bizarre.
Here's what I thought. I've known this for a long time. The government can just look at what's on your screen
exactly.
or record your keystrokes.
Yes.
So there's no.
No, exactly. So like.
Or they can just take your fucking phone and look at it.
No, exactly. That's cheating.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
the old school way.
But it's like if the cops arrested me,
that's not in the rules, man.
I've had cops force my thumbprint on a fucking phone.
That's why you need to have the 8-digit.
Obviously they're gonna do that. I mean, it's this bullshit thing. But the point is also like. Because I actually studied computer science. I wanted to be a computer science. I was partially a computer science major at Berkeley. And like, okay, when you look at these systems, you have all these different systems. You have the operating system. I mean, you have actually everything's compiled. So you have these ones and zeros kind of running through the chip and all this shit. Like you have all these different complicated systems, and all those systems have bugs in them. Have sometimes they're known, sometimes they're not known to the creators of these things. And so you have all these different points of entry for
somebody to get in.
Yeah, so you have all these different security firms that specialize in finding these bugs and selling the exploits to intelligence agencies. You have the intelligence agencies themselves using it. So you have the FBI will actually probably pay a basically a hacking firm.
Yeah.
To
look
for
at
access.
When they got in the iPhone.
Exactly.
They just paid an Israeli company to do it.
Exactly.
Which it reminds me a lot too of Well, I can't remember who it was, of the FBI. I think it was.
Yeah. And there was like also, if you remember those there was this couple that shot up the school, a couple of government offices in San Bernardino.
Oh, the ISIS attack.
Yeah, like when Lone Wolf.
Brace is making
it was sort of like
it was
like a romantic kind of terrorist thing.
Yeah.
And they were planning this shit on their Apple iPhones. And so the FBI wanted access to their chats. And Apple's like, fuck you, this is about freedom.
They made a whole thing. It was such a little dance they did.
If we give you this thing, it's over for everyone. And then all these people came out with like, it's really lame sort of like protests in New York and around the country.
Yes, I remember those,
Basically, iPhones save lives. They were like carrying these things. But Electronic Frontier Foundation.
People are so embarrassing.
The Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is also a San Francisco thing, was behind it. It was depressing. It was a depressing site.
Well, and it's just, and then you've got, it's like the same people that remember all those like losers who cried when Steve Jobs died?
Oh,
yeah.
But it's like the same kind of people. And I know what you're getting at, which is that it kind of like then everyone is suddenly like, now I trust Apple.
Comrade Apple.
Yes.
Comrade Apple stands with us in our, fight for freedom against the government.
No.
But it reminds me a lot of the Promise software.
Oh, yes.
That was stolen and then sold with a backdoor exploit into it.
That's like the mother lode of all conspiracy theories.
Exactly. I mean, it connects everything.
People, it's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah. But it's true. They did steal it and they did sell it.
But the question is it used anywhere?
That's the thing that kind of bugs me is that everyone's always like, and then using Promise, and then using for like all these different events.
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah.
But it's also like.
But where is it? Is it used?
No, they
I don't
it's
know.
like different iterations of it now.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is I feel like it was just like
a momentary thing.
Yeah.
Just to like
Egypt
a sign
used it famously.
Interesting.
Egypt used it for a bunch of different stuff for their courts especially. And when Egypt used it, Israel had a back door and could see basically everything that was going on. So it was like they sold it to through like I can't remember whether it was through like a cutout to these different sort of poorer countries, who weren't like capable of maybe like going through it and checking to see if there was a back door open or whatever.
Yeah, well, they can't. I mean, if you're a country buying encryption software from somewhere, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened. There was just a story the other day that came out. The crypto AG, or there was this like Swedish, not Swedish, it was in Switzerland, like a crypto company, but it was actually created like it was a front for the CIA, and it was selling encryption machines to all these different
I read that.
This, even Bitcoin, like I think it's insane that how many people like actually believe that it is untraceable.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of Bitcoin is to be traceable.
Exactly. That's why it's like, wait, but I don't understand, because it has to be traceable in order.
That's what a blockchain is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but why does everyone think that?
But it's only
because you have to like wash it.
It's only with Tor. I mean, this is the thing: is that Tor and Bitcoin, they're almost like in order for Bitcoin to be anonymous, you have to use Tor.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the whole thing. It's like because then you have to believe that Tor can anonymize you, because if you make that transaction, so if you're doing the transaction,
it's recorded somewhere.
You can trace it to you. Then it's Bitcoin is obviously, because Bitcoin is actually meant to be totally transparent. That's the whole point. So you should be you have to track every transaction. So it's a history of every transaction that was ever made with a piece of
a single whatever
fraction of a coin.
Yeah. I do not.
I mean, so it's like that's the ledger. The ledger.
Yeah.
It's like the fucking the history of all Bitcoin transactions that have ever taken place. Mm-hmm. So it's not actually anonymous. I mean, it's anonymous in the sense that if you can anonymously initiate that transaction, then it can be anonymous. So Tor and Bitcoin, that's why the dark markets, they're like that's the, and then of course no one knows where fucking Bitcoin came from. So it's like
well,
that's
the whole
other
thing with all of these sort of like safe, secure, all this obsession with like security culture or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that if I was the government, an intelligence agency, and I was like, there's these new sort of horizons of technology opening up. I want to be there. This is like we were talking about.
You want to be there at the beginning. You want to control the people who are making it. You want to have some pull in the.
And so, like when I talked about the KGB punk magazine earlier,
exactly,
it's the same. I mean, that was on such a small scale and probably seemingly ineffective. But like where this works is like, yeah, if you create the app to do crimes on,
yes,
like if you're like, here's the secret app for your political stuff, you should write all your bad stuff you're planning on doing, and like all your direct act. I mean, it's
and
not
sell
like
that shit to people. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
That's fucking exactly what happened, works. It's like it used to be that people were like,
do all your child pornography on this, guys.
Exactly. Like,
hey guys.
Hey, we have all the servers for the child porn.
Well, they were running the fucking world's biggest child porn
website. That's what I'm saying.
it's like that's what drives me so insane is that like there used to be like. Like people were conscious of this sort of stuff and be like, yeah, don't talk around a telephone or like check, for lights. But now it's like, well, it's this weighing. I mean, and this is an old sort of thing to complain about, but it's weighing this sort of convenience with basically any possibility of keeping something secret.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's interesting. Totally. I mean, what they did is they, in essence, created all this crypto technology and sold it to people as, the CIA and the U.S. government, different, not just the CIA, but like different parts of the State Department.
It's all of,
just the national security state or the intelligence apparatus or the security apparatus.
Right.
Basically created these anti-government apps and sold it to people as anti-government apps, and then bankrolled all of these activists like Jacob Applebaum, and like to basically go around and to sell themselves. Also a local, by the way.
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I have spent a lot of time.
He's actually because he's from the North Bay.
I don't know him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure?
No, I was a rock and roller. Okay. And then when Occupy was happening, I was on heroin. So I didn't run into a lot of those people.
Okay.
But I have run into a lot of those like kind of people and possibly that person because I have like some friends that aren't tech anarchists, but they might hang out with or know tech anarchists. I know a lot of my friends beef with a certain large group of tech anarchists who I'm ready to fucking don't do the sound here, but I've been like, I've witnessed sort of the culture around that.
Yeah.
And it is fucking like, I don't think people from here like understand sometimes.
The like hacktivist culture?
The hacktivist culture.
Even saying that makes me feel disgusting.
Fucking depraved.
It's so dorky too.
Because it's like, it's these people, you want to talk about third fucking positionism, all these are, by the way, these are the same people who like, think Dugan is fucking out to get them. These fucking people are literally like they think of themselves as beyond left or right. They're just like information warriors, and like they're like it's like if crust punks. You think crust punks are annoying? Okay.
Give them
Imagine
computers.
them times a fucking million given computers, exactly. And like, they have the same exact sort of chip on their shoulder that they're just these do-gooders who are. It's almost like you can see the mindset of not like the colonizer but the explorer in them. It's this really arrogant sort of like. I can basically like it's. I don't know.
They're like the typical protagonist in like a sci-fi novel.
Exactly.
So they're out there. They're in for them it's cyberspace. And that's their world. They go into space. They have this adventure. They know all the ninja moves.
Yeah.
They can shoot the bad guy. They can sort of rescue people and save civilization. I mean, it's like it's the Western in space. But what happens with all of them always is that they're always in the end side with power for some reason.
Always.
So like and they get like a lot of these people they're basically backed like the war in Libya and like we're like
Syria,
it's weird. You're you're like an anarcho like in crypto and anarchist. And you're saying like
they're anti-authoritarian,
exactly. But you're saying we must stand with the people of Syria.
Well, I was funny. On the TrueAnon,
I get called an Assadist all the time. That's my new favorite.
I was as probably the only podcast who's ever hung out with members of the SAA. I think
totally.
I have that mantle. But I was tipping and tapping on the. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I retract that statement. I was tipping and tapping, and also probably Ronnie, I don't know. I was tipping and tapping on the internet the other day. I looked at like one of those big anonymous accounts, like, anonymous or whatever. And it was literally all like, we like save Idlib. Like they need to, it's all like we need to
I
drone
am
Assad
anonymous Guy Fawkes.
Exactly.
I am
And it's
13 years old.
I think part of it, so part of that is organic. I think part of that comes from people being like, this narrative around the Arab Spring,
standing with the sort of the grassroots revolution,
exactly, and like Twitter,
the Arab Spring really fucked people up,
dude. Yes. That's the Occupy,
and Tor was like a huge player,
exactly.
In
Twitter too.
Yes.
Well, also, I mean, it's like I don't even know how many Americans know what the color revolutions are, or like and how. Like that was like tested out and perfected over and over again.
Yeah,
and this is this cult in the decentralized sort of like the uprising and like it's such
it's so romantic. I mean, it's like I don't know. Part of me also is like Brace and I talk about this sometimes about how there is like I think a deep not to get like too psychoanalyst here, but I do think there is like a deep desire for like heroism, particularly in a society that. Like doesn't offer anyone any meaning.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like can only continue existing while sucking more and more meaning out of society.
Yes.
And so it's like really, these people, especially a lot of people who stay at home, video games on the computer, like I said, less and less social interactions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It like feeds a really romantic idea that somewhere people are rising up.
Yeah.
And the people power and, to take down, and so it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think that it comes from like, I can see why people why it's so effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it's great. And these people think we're making the tools to help them.
Exactly. It's like they're part of the story.
They're gonna shut down the internet. We're gonna help them route around that.
Exactly.
I'm gonna fly there. I'm gonna fly to Tahrir Square and be like the guy who sets up a node.
Yeah.
Who's gonna help the revolution.
Exactly.
He's basically it's sort of like and he actually talked about it. I mean, I know Jake Applebaum. He talked about it actually like going to Spain and fighting against the fascists. Like it's. Like he sees himself and sells that struggle, the crypto struggle, the technological struggle, as basically, as the ultimate rebel, the ultimate
exactly. And it's weird. It's not to get too. I don't even know what I'm getting when I say this, but it's like this Bernstein sort of thing. Where it's like the struggle is the goal, or basically like the road there is the goal. Like, because like, what does Jacob Applebaum want? Like, what do these people want? They want us to live in decentralized. No, they want to fight this crypto fight, And like,
I mean, I think for him, he wants to just be the hero and wants to
Exactly,
be adored
yeah.
and wants to be
Yeah.
basically have power and
Cerulean.
live an exciting life and be worshipped. I mean,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
I mean, what does anybody want?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
But I mean,
yeah,
but he particularly, and he was like the main guy. You know, he was like, you know, there's like Edward Snowden, Assange, and Jacob Applebaum. And Jacob Applebaum is the main, like, basically the face of Tor.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
they're, you know, Assange is like in prison or whatever in the embassy
yeah.
you know, like, in
Oh,
prison
back
essentially
then, yeah,
back
yeah.
then, and then, you know, Edward Snowden is in Moscow somewhere in hiding. So like he's the only guy who can sort of like move around the world.
Yeah.
You know, he can go to all these different places. He can speak on their behalf. He's
Exactly.
the guy and so he's the guy who's being paid six figures by the U.S. government. You know,
That's
They
insane
left that
to
out
me.
of the movies they did about
that's
him.
like that's
Yeah.
that's the shit that's just like fucking like you
Six
can't
figures, man. Six figures.
gloss
Yeah.
over that. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
insane to me.
Yeah.
So and part of it is actually coming from a CIA spinoff, the State Department,
Yeah.
and the U.S.
Yeah.
Navy. You know,
Amazing.
so like
Amazing.
So the
The
whole,
spookiest of the arms,
Yeah.
by the way.
yeah, well, because the U.S. Navy is
The Buttigieg arm.
the original intelligence. They were the first intelligence.
Yeah,
Yes.
then
No.
that's it,
Especially
just in general.
signals intelligence.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
Germany too, Britain too. Like
because you
all of
gotta
it came
send
from
signals
that.
between the ships and all that.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah. But and they created Tor. I mean, the Navy
Yeah.
created Tor. And
It's
so-
funny. It's just like an updated like version. That's whatever platoon of the signal company.
Yeah,
is,
totally.
you
I
know?
was just
It's
thinking
like-
that. It is kind of wild.
It drives me crazy because it's like it is by every definition a honeypot.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like these.
But it's more than that. It's actually, I mean, what's cool about Tor? It's a honeypot, one, but it's also, I think, functional infrastructure for espionage and for internet like operations. I mean, because
you can send something to someone.
I mean
else
that's
if,
I mean
like-
the original reason why Tor was created was to hide spies on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
yeah. Oh yeah. You mentioned this earlier, but can you explain?
I mean, well, because it's like, okay, so because the internet is like inherently transparent, you kind of like, so a website needs to know where to send, you know, so you
Yeah.
request some information from a website, you're sitting at your computer, you request some information from some server. The server has to know where where to send that information. So there's the to and from address are known publicly, right, to whoever's watching the network. And so if you're, you know, a CIA guy or an FBI guy, and you're like, say, you're trying to log in to your, you know, CIA mail, you know, internet mail, like from Syria,
Yeah.
let's say, and you're like, oh shit, well, I can't do that,
Yeah.
because then they'll know I'm a CIA guy. So the idea is you create Tor, which is breaks the to and from.
Yeah.
So you log in through, you just kind of log into Tor, and that hides where you're actually sending the information. So all that anyone who was watching the network sees that someone is going into this other network. And so, but then the idea is why you can't just have government guys use it. It's like if it's only government guys use it, then it's obvious that.
Every signal is a government signal.
right.
Yeah.
So the idea is you kind of have to farm it out to everybody. And you open it up to the public,
Yeah.
and you create like what is in essence like a public square filled with people.
Yeah.
You know, so two spies can meet in a public square. And the more packed it is, the easier it is for them to sort of meet and not be seen, right?
Yeah.
To make the handoff.
Yeah. It's hiding the crowd. Yeah.
And that's the idea. So what happened is when they developed it, they basically created this nonprofit. That was first, like its first year before it actually officially got nonprofit status. It was inside the Electronic Frontier Foundation. So the U.S. Navy, this intelligence project was inside the Electronic Frontier Foundation, funded by Pierre Omidyar.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah.
So
Funder of this pod.
yeah.
I know we're gonna go through our Patreon.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. No, he's not.
No, it'd be funny if like you have to break for commercial.
Yeah. And like,
Use
hey,
PayPal. Yeah.
this is we are. This is the password is teal. I don't know. I'm trying to do a fake ad here, and I'm too stupid.
Radio
to do
Free
one.
Brace
Radio
here.
Free Brace. Exactly.
So anyway, so that's what happened, and then they got nonprofit. And what happened was they were trying to actually do they tried to do the legit thing, which is like, okay, well, we're gonna find like, you know, private like funding for this thing.
And they couldn't get it.
No, so no one would want to fund them.
Oh.
So they got a
Yeah.
bit of money,
What?
but it never. So they basically had to go and like the only source of funding was like these. I mean, aside from, you know, yeah, the only source of funding was from the government, at least
Yeah.
the funding that we know
Yeah.
about, you know, and so like they got some money in the first year, but it wasn't enough to keep them going, and so then. They started getting money from the State Department, then they started getting money. The Navy kept funding them. The Navy kept funding them because that was their original.
Yeah.
And then they sold it as like when the internet freedom stuff started happening in the mid 2000s. No, actually, no. In Obama's first term, after 2008, 2009, 2010, when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, like their funding from the Broadcasting Board of Governors, which is now USAGM, like went through the roof. And so the idea was like, now we can use it. Okay, so spies are using this thing for, you know, to as infrastructure to hide themselves, but also as a way of other spies are using it too. Yeah. And so, but like,
so like spies from other countries.
Yeah, and like so like some of the stuff that the like the hacking of the DNC servers. Yeah. Like when they released the information about that, like they said, oh yeah, these are Russian addresses. You know, these are, and you actually look at them, they're Tor addresses.
So there's no way to know.
Yeah, and also all the stuff that they've. Sorry, I'm like so.
Oh, this is a great segue too.
Well, I'm just like the history has just been totally rewritten about like the DNC leaks, the protest email, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just got like
that'd be good. Yeah.
Completely rewritten with all the Russiagate nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, no one even saw these servers before they went to CrowdStrike.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
that's ridiculous.
Like, Donald Trump has a point here, like, when he's talking about that stuff. Not about getting Ukraine to give him the servers or whatever, as little melted
that's weird.
brain
Yeah,
says.
that was a weird thing. Yeah. I mean, he like everything else, he fucked it up, you know? Like
No, exactly. Because this is like, it is like really, really fucked up.
Well,
what
I mean,
happened.
it's even more than who got the server. It's like, okay, CrowdStrike had a pre-existing contract with
the DNC.
The DNC, and CrowdStrike is not like it's a forensic firm, you know, but it's not like
no, it's not actually though.
It's not yet, but I mean, it's a forensic firm for whoever hires it.
Yeah,
right, totally.
And it's not meant to actually be like find the truth. It's meant to find what the client wants you
to find.
Really,
yes.
I mean, that's the whole fucking point.
And wasn't it just like we found these Cyrillic characters that?
And you know what's funny? Actually, talking about Bernie and the DNC, actually, because you know him getting totally screwed by them. Is that the original contract that CrowdStrike got with the DNC came because Bernie was accused of hacking the DNC's.
Yeah, because he got access accidentally for like 20 minutes.
There was like some fucking bug that happened, and they accused him. I mean, it was like actually kind of a planted story. I think.
Oh no, they did that on like I mean I can't say for sure.
They were looking for everything because they were scared.
It was a weird story.
Super weird.
Basically, some staffer was accused of hacking the DNC's internal.
He got fined.
And they had to fire the staffer.
Yeah.
And so CrowdStrike was hired to do the forensics.
Amazing.
And then already they had a contract with the DNC, and then suddenly the DNC calls them in to do another forensic analysis.
Right.
They're the only ones who have access to the actual raw data, the original data.
Yeah.
They produced this report based on a completely bogus theory that there's this thing called Fancy Bear and Cozy Bear.
Fancy Bear.
They actually come up with a name.
Yeah.
Because they're actually...
He was actually in Cozy Bear.
Yeah?
Our producer, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, they were big. They had a hit.
Yeah, he was pretty...
They did have a hit. And like they made up those names. I mean, because researchers like they're like, you know, there are these people they use these tools, and so if we identify this group of tools that are used to hack a server,
that's like we can
sort of basically do this sort of
reverse
inductive. No, I don't even know.
I think that's inductive.
Yeah, inductive reasoning. You go backwards.
Yes, that's inductive. Yeah.
To the say that there must be we're fucking brilliant here. Like it's like the Oscar producer's like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Is it? You probably do know. Is it inductive? If we're going backwards,
you're like Amy Klobuchar with the president. You know, Mexico's name. You're like,
throws a stapler at me.
What's his name? AMLO.
I was thinking of him throwing something at me, but that's fair enough. Yeah. So they can work backwards.
Well, I mean, the idea is they're like, well, we've seen these tools used to hack other websites. We've believed that these groups are connected, you know, are Russians based on like the type of target, you know, and their activity.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, they're like, well, you know, they're hacking computers in like, from like, what the times that they're hacking computers actually coincides with Moscow's work day.
That's right.
So it's like 8 in the morning to like 5 p.m. Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Because you know these hackers, man.
Because you know hackers love
it's the 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, they love not drinking Mountain Dew until 4:30 in the morning.
So CrowdStrike's whole thing was branding. I mean, they're pretty good at it, and like it's a fellow Soviet immigrant who runs it, you know, who is running it. Yeah, and so like, the branding is good. They hired these great graphics artists when they put out these reports. do this like sort of like sexy robot with a fur, like with a sort of a Russian fur cap,
Hello, yeah.
Red
Nice.
Star, yeah.
Wow, sounds
And like so, if
DSA.
you actually look at
I
this
had
stuff,
some stuff with it.
yeah, exactly. So but that's yeah. I don't even know how we got here at this point. But.
Well, no, because my point is, it's like, and this shit drives me so crazy.
It does, I can attest.
Because there's like really a handful of people, I could probably think of all of them, or, both hands, who like fought back, including yourself, fought back against all this bullshit Russia panic crap.
Yeah.
And we still see it, they're already warning that like,
Bernie.
Putin's helping Bernie.
It's
or
funny, they
whatever.
kind of did drop that after like this last week too. I mean, they just haven't mentioned it much.
Well, yeah, because they're like, oh, we don't need
No,
that
he's
now.
helping Trump and
'Cause
Bernie, but
yeah.
yeah.
But like all of this stems, like literally this entire thing. I mean, besides whatever theories about why the State Department and the U.S. want to push a story that's like anti-Russia, which is a whole nother story,
Yeah.
like topic.
It's a synergy, a lot of synergy in this thing.
But it's like it's from this one fucking contract with CrowdStrike, and it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And you've got from this dumbass report that's totally fake news report, fake CrowdStrike report, like a fucking 5 years of bullshit that included like
It's QAnon.
People don't and
the
you
liberal,
got
yeah,
no,
liberal.
it's not even. It's like
QAnon's
fucking
a
now
little
you've
real,
got
too.
media squishes.
or it's like the birth certificate.
Who are all,
Yeah.
yes, who are all like, well, I didn't actually really believe Russiagate.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you motherfucker. Yes, you did, because I remember.
And like it's a fucking flop too. Like it doesn't even like whatever. I mean, I know what.
People
works.
already are forgetting how insane
but
it
I think
was.
I think it worked. I
It
don't know.
did work. People believe it. Remember
yeah,
when
I guess
Morgan
it did work
Freeman?
because I'm being stupid because I'm like in my mind, superficially, the point of it is to get Trump out of office, but that's not the
No.
point.
No,
the point
not
is
at
to
all.
basically discredit.
Well, also the point is
whoever
to
they
just
need to discredit.
Well, it does a lot of things.
To suck out like all the oxygen from any when you have the discussion that we blame this thing instead of talking about what actually happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Reflection,
it's like
served a lot of functions. It
Yeah,
created
yeah.
like ratings for the news.
It's been amazing. I mean, that was the thing. Like Maddow's show went through the fucking roof.
It it's like sort of the impeachment, it was kind of like the impeachment thing because the impeachment was like great for ratings. I mean, great for viewers, great for
Great for
like
the
Adam
Dems.
Schiff, broke all fundraising records.
Yeah,
while
I mean, he
doing-
rocketed to stardom from this.
By the way, and he started
God,
out
he
as a
sucks
prosecutor,
so
as a
bad.
prosecutor actually prosecuting this weird Mormon Soviet spy. So
No
that's how
shit.
that was his first kind of like big like public case. This weird like
Interesting.
weird like inept Mormon who got seduced by like a Russian woman.
Amazing.
And who thought that he was going to infiltrate the KGB.
Yeah. Oh, like she tricked him into. Oh,
Well,
that's
I mean, it's
sweet.
not even clear what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that he prosecuted him. And I think it was in the end he was acquitted.
Yeah.
If
Well,
I
fellas,
remember
you hear to
correctly.
hear first.
But he's a prosecutor, so that's why he was doing so well.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Yeah.
was playing his role. He's a cop.
Yeah,
Adam
I mean
Schiff is
that's
a cop. Yeah,
that's
and
why.
so-
That was that whole thing about Kamala too. Is like one of her big things is we need her in the White House so she can prosecute the previous president.
No, I
which
also
is-
love that they're like, I mean, basically it was like, her whole campaign was like, when I get to the White House, I'm impeaching Donald Trump.
Yeah,
And you're like,
it's so.
That doesn't
insane.
even-
I mean,
First of all, a president doesn't impeach.
well,
another
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. It's like, it
exactly.
totally was a
It's
Are you
just
going to be an
like-
authoritarian? You're going to be a
it's-
dictator?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
Well,
it's
yeah, I
Kamala.
mean-
Yeah, I mean, at least
but
I
I
the shadow
really
of
am
my
like, I
wings.
get so heated about this stuff because like even now people are trying to like whitewash how insane like right after 16, 17, 18 was.
Yeah.
Like I fucking remember Morgan Freeman like in a YouTube
Oh,
ad
yeah.
talking about how we were at war
war.
with
Yes.
Russia.
Yes.
Are at war.
Yeah.
Yes, in his fucking March of the
It
Penguins
was
voice.
insane. Like it was, and it still is. It's
And
like
there are
it-
like so many, left liberal squishes who were like selling bylines
Yeah.
to get on the cover of The Nation, get on the cover of
all Atlantic motherfuckers.
all these assholes who are like,
people-
well,
I hope-
maybe there is
yeah.
kind of a way you can look at this
Clean
because
on, or whatever his name is.
I was trying not to
I
say
clean
it.
off.
I
Yeah.
call him David crying.
Clean off. Yeah.
No, it's like,
Clean up. Yeah.
oh, this is
Mr.
actually about
Apology.
corruption.
Yeah,
it's like no,
fuck that. Like that's the thing is you can't give them an inch on this shit
No.
because it's like look at what they're doing. The first now they're talking about your guy because if Bernie does get farther or if Bernie gets to be president, you better believe there's gonna be a bipartisan Russia
Oh, hell
impeachment
yeah.
thing about.
Totally.
oh my god, no,
Like-
he's going to be impeached day one.
And it's crazy, and it works so well on just like I mean, who knows how many of these people are real themselves, but it works so well on sort of the the mass base of a certain type of Democratic voter, 45-year-old normie moms,
cable suburb, whatever.
It worked really well on the mom
But
demographic.
also, like,
Yeah,
this
totally.
entire fucking town.
Oh, like L.A. completely.
Like
LA,
San
California is
Francisco.
huge. California, LA, San Francisco.
it's most
They, like,
blue-pilled
you can
cities.
see it happen on the internet. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, they're totally blue-pilled. But, like, they'll literally just be like, you're a bot, to, like, somebody who's like a blue check or something. It's just like, you understand, like, with your front of your eyes, like, this is not a bot. This is a literal person. And you just, like, you
They
think that
verified
they're
it.
I mean, which is, that's not a great sign usually. No
It's
disrespect.
unclear if,
But-
blue checks are real people.
Yeah, well, some of them.
Usually,
companies.
they're media people, so they're not really real.
Yeah. But, like,
as we all know.
it's
yeah.
crazy. It allowed people to go through, and it's like, it's one of these things where it's like, it's, and this is, I think, what's so dangerous about the internet sometimes, is it allows people to just totally embrace, basically in totality, these alternate realities that they sort of create, but are really created for them by TV or, like, just media in general, where it's like, now they are in a spy novel, and, like, they have to, like, defend Adam Schiff from, like, a guy being like, Adam shit. And then you have to, like, you have to out him as, like, a Provatskaya Derbyskaya guy. No, I didn't mean to knock the
Fine, you got it right almost 100%.
Fuck you! Not you. Well, a little bit you, because I could see you didn't want me to get it fully right. No, it's exactly, that shit really reached a fever pitch, where it was like, you had, oh God, what's her name? The lady. Crazy.
Louise Mitch.
There we fucking go.
That one.
Oh,
what happened to, what happened to her?
She's still around,
yeah.
but it's like, she
But
just, like,
all those
replies
people,
to Adam
it's
Schiff
like-
being like, right on.
They were such obvious
She seemed
grifters.
to-
Real ire I
think
have
she's,
is for the
like-
ones that are, like, the soft grifters.
Yeah.
Where
She
I'm
is-
just like, I
she is
see you
kinda
all
natural.
too.
Well, also, like, it's interesting because, because there used to be the Russia grifters before before 2016, and they
Malcolm
helped set
Nance?
up people like
Yeah.
Masha Gessen, for instance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We should talk about her.
And then she actually, when the real grifters kicked in, and they basically built on a world that she helped create.
Yeah.
She built the foundation, like she made that respectable.
Of, like, the impenetrable FSB.
The man without a face,
Yeah.
Putin as
Yes,
this guy,
the, like,
as the
global
shadowy manipulator.
puppeteer.
Yeah. And
He's got his hands
so
everywhere.
he's in the New York. She's in the New York. I mean, she's like the most respected, Russian intellectual in America.
she's got the New Yorker cartoon Avi.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
she's
yeah,
huge.
my
I mean, so
favorite.
people think of her. I mean, she is like, Hannah Arendt,
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
like what in people's minds.
She fucking sucks, too.
She plays her. She actually like takes her shtick, and like the whole like totalitarianism.
Yeah.
that's her
Oh,
whole
God,
main thing.
she totally
How
does
old
that
was she
shit.
when she moved here? Like 16?
Oh, I don't remember. She was a teenager. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
so it's like,
She
She-
just wrote
she's-
about Bernie Sanders too.
Yeah.
She's useful for lots of things.
No, and she compared, basically Cuba to Nazi Germany.
Yep.
Oh, no, she does that whole, like, sort of dual Holocaust
Oh, she's
thing.
totally. I mean, she opens
the-
her latest book with that. How her mother, says that the Soviet Union is Nazi Germany. I mean, she doesn't like condemn. I mean, she's actually a Russia. In Russia, she would be called a liberal,
Yeah,
which means that
right.
means in America to be like a libertarian.
Yeah.
So just that's like.
Well, yeah,
the
yeah.
like a classic liberal.
Yeah.
And so she believes she's like super anti-communist, super anti-left, but she's able to in America. She couches it in these kind of. I mean, it's easy to make people in America think that you're an intellectual because people are just so provincial here.
Yeah.
I mean, no respect.
It's
no
totally
disrespect.
true.
Dude,
I mean,
I'm literally provincial.
and I
yeah.
mean, and I actually mean like the people who don't think they're provincial are the most provincial
Yeah,
people. So like
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
who's Ivy League educated,
Yes.
they are the most provincial people.
coworkers
No, they
of the
keep
New
them
Yorkers.
provincial by sending them to the
Yeah.
Ivies.
Yeah, but it just also like it's very easy. You quote some, you do some quotes from Dostoevsky.
Yeah.
You do some Tolstoy. You cite like
That's
some,
true.
and they're like,
Maybe
wow,
Gogol.
she's really deep, and so she's able to.
The somber, like the sensitive Russian soul.
And she also she'll chastise people, or she'll liberals for like wrong thinking. So they're like, oh yeah, that's right. We were too
Yeah.
simplistic in our thinking. But her whole thing is just how Russia and is basically it's a resurgence of the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
The Russian people were not ready for democracy.
Nope.
They're like inner totalitarian sort of slave to the Soviet system has come back.
Yeah.
Horrifically
and
xenophobic.
and so
by
that's
the way.
like and so she helped set that stage like completely. And so and then like when all the grifters, the Menches and like what are the other guy, the Twitter guy who goes fucking crazy.
Seth Abrams, but the other guy too, but he kind of fell off.
Oh, that guy who got
lawyer.
into the game theory guy.
Yeah, game theory guy.
Oh yeah, he was cool.
Yeah.
Eric Garland.
Yeah.
He was pretty cool.
he was fucking.
And then he was trying to set up a private Twitter to monetize.
Oh, but those work. Schindler did that too. The naval
Schindler
war
guy,
college-
yeah. Who
naval-
got
he's-
outed as like, what the hell was he doing?
I have on my telephone a picture of his penis. So I'm sorry if you are fucking trying to tell me about Provatskaya and if you're being like they're in our. I literally have your dick in my phone and I've had it there for 4 years. Fuck you. Yeah, and those guys all have paid Twitter accounts where you have to pay $5.
It's like OnlyFans, but for
it's like
propaganda.
for porn stars.
Yeah.
like that, those kinds of things.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
it's basically so that no one else can be like, this is insane. Because the only people who are going to read it are like
fucking
people
crazy.
who are
Yeah.
like, will be
Cottage
taken
industry.
in by that.
Yeah,
Gotta
so
love
she
it.
helped like people like her, and she's the most prominent, I think, because she helped that she helped.
Yeah, she's
she helped,
famous.
she helped create that world. I mean, she helped legitimize it from the beginning, and so they just built on her on her work essentially. But then they took it to another level and just started discrediting her. Because they took her grift and they went way too far with it. And so she had to, and I can't remember exactly what she wrote, but she distanced herself from that and saying that's it's crazy, it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
So, but like and
And
pretending
that
like she
only
never.
legitimates her more.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because she can sort of put herself up next to these crazies and be like, listen, a lot of this is real, but it's not that. It's like what we do with
Yeah.
TrueAnon or QAnon. We're like, listen, there is a global pedophile cabal, but like,
Come on, it's not a Pizza Hut.
Trump's part
Yeah.
of it,
Well, I think it's interesting too because she also is echoing basically what is being taught in like the academies in America, which I find really fascinating. Like in the approach, like in like studying, international relations, however political science is structured, it's like bizarre. And it really is what you say that like, totalitarianism as an ideology or authoritarianism.
Yeah, authoritarianism really is. It's sort of
both of those. They think
totalitarianism.
it's like it's never really
because
clearly explained. It's like
totalitarianism,
it's
like
just
has
like
been-
extreme authoritarianism.
in like more like legitimate academia, I guess. Like totalitarianism as a concept has been sort of discredited.
Yeah.
Right.
Because authoritarian. I mean, I guess people have authoritarian tendencies.
Yeah.
I mean, so but totalitarianism as like because they try to do basically it was a Cold War thing trying to equate. Communism
Exactly.
and fascism.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Which
what
is funny because
Hannah-
America,
Hannah
of course,
Arendt,
was
doing that,
Hannah Arendt was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Of course, she did not have
Absolutely.
not to our black listeners. I apologize for Hannah Arendt's judicious use of the N word. Because
Yes, that's right. She was a bit of a
Yeah, she is not. She
Well,
was.
and her lover.
Who's Heidegger? She fucked Heidegger, dude. I'm not taking lessons of totalitarianism from a lady who fucked Heidegger. Holy shit! Yes, I did that with many political
I actually
figures.
have a book that's all their letters. It's fucking
Oh, is it
fascinating.
weird?
Yeah,
Weird?
there's some weird stuff in there.
It's funny because at that same
'Cause she was
time,
like, yeah.
America was basically funding the World Anti-Communist League, which,
Yeah.
boy, I have a book about them, and that is some shit right there. Because that's like the Moonies, but also like the SS.
Yeah.
All in this, like South, and like, Kuomintang, all these fucking different people. And this just insane CIA front that just like, I mean, those were the days for the CIA where they could have like real like Otto Skorzeny types.
Yeah.
Now they just have to have
Yeah.
fucking Falun Gong like guys who are like, listen, we'll build a cage and we'll do a parade.
Yeah. And we'll have a ballet, Chinese ballet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got it, and we'll do a lot of
Yeah.
direct mail.
Yeah.
A lot of direct mail.
Billboards
Which-
No, but
everywhere.
they got the jihadists and shit like that.
Yeah, I
they
guess
got
that's
like
fucking
it's
true.
like in hindsight,
They got, like, the
they're gonna look
Turkic
cooler
whatever.
in hindsight. I think.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just, they're just,
yeah.
you're too close. You're too,
Yeah,
too
yeah.
But
close to
she
see.
also, because I think too also
on.
like people like Yasha Monk and
Yeah, oh, yeah.
those kind of like.
Well, he's really taking the Arendt like sort
Yes,
of.
I mean
mantle.
that.
Well,
there's a
yeah,
whole
but that's what I'm
totality-
saying.
yeah, yeah.
And
why do they
what's
all?
wild
Why
is
do they all
they
have
all
my
use
name
it.
like that is very similar to mine? Because he actually has my name.
Yeah.
But it's like all these
But he
guys.
spells it weird. Yeah.
It's wild because they, it's like kind of comes from the same. They're literally all kind of operating the same school of thought or whatever. But repeatedly, it's always used against the United States as well. Yasha Monk gets trotted out every, so often to say, well, actually, the left and the right.
Yes.
There's too much extremism.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's all these same kind of theories. But this is like literally what they teach in academia. Like this is, this, and as like the foundation knowledge of, how you understand world governments, and let alone not history. No one even teaches history or studies history anymore, sadly.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing is that only governments that aren't America can be totalitarian. I mean, you see it like, look at the election shit in Iowa. Compare that to Bolivia. Look at look at any of this. Look at the reaction to Ferguson and the sort of the murders of like protesters there, and then compare that to like the rhetoric around Venezuela and stuff like that. I mean, it's absurd. Like because the subtext there is if it's authoritarianism, it can't be. If it's authoritarian, it can't be a democracy.
Exactly, and that's how and this gets back to what you're saying about how America is so good at propagandizing around an idea of democracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that like to the point where it's really an elegant system. I say like sometimes I like step back and you kind of understand how all of these things are simultaneously like legitimating and disciplining.
Yeah,
and it's just incredibly elegant.
Yeah,
which is like a little. It can like make you a little crazy making.
Yeah.
But like
you're already crazy.
In a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, keep talking.
But like
no bullying on this program.
I'm sorry.
But it's true. It's like it's such an amazing way to both like simultaneously squash like any kind of critical thinking about what actually a democracy is, because a democracy can only be what the United States is. So what you're seeing is democracy, even though, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and a democracy can never has any, even if it acts in a totalitarian manner, it's not because it just happened by accident, or it's never corruption, or because of some kind of like some kind of bug that happened. It was by accident,
Trump,
just whatever. It just so it's never. Like whatever other countries do is like speaks to some kind of deep-seated issue with that society, or that people, even like genetically, it's like
the Slavic mind.
It's about them and something genetic almost. You know? With America,
well, they said
it's like,
literally that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you kill 1 million Iraqis, and it's like, well, no, but it's like, I mean, it doesn't say much basically about us. It's just we were met well. I mean, I had this crazy conversation like about a year ago with a documentary guy from Harvard, and he was like, we were talking about like American exceptionalism, and he was saying like, he still thinks, America's done all these things wrong. It's true, like, killed all these people. Vietnam War was horrible. Iraq War, 1 million people. It's fucking horrible. But still, America at its core is like has something about it that is like good. And I said, okay, all right. Let's say that's true. Like, what's the body count? Like, how many people will have to die? Let's say, like, is it like 6 million, 7 million?
Yeah.
Like, for Nazi Germany, it was 6 million people,
and that was like it. That's like that's
So what? And he thought about it, and he was honest about it. He's like, you know what? I don't think there is
exactly. And that is like that's refreshing to hear.
No,
it is
because
refreshing.
there is like the obvious answer is there isn't a body count.
No,
like,
there isn't a body count high enough.
And it's funny because if you think about just through the entire like totality of the United States, I keep saying totality, the entire history of the United States, right? How many millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people. I mean, Native Americans alone. And then you compare it to like America's like at this point in the terms of like extant governments that have existed uninterrupted, it's fairly old. Yeah. We're older than a lot of nations, a lot of European nations, whatever. But if any like nation, if a nation throws off the shackles of colonialism, anything like that, and there's anything that doesn't resemble like, a mayoral election in not even in like a small town. Like if things don't go like that, if maybe some people get arrested, whatever, then that is like, oh, this is, they never get like 200 years to work things out or whatever. Yeah. It's never like only America is allowed the leeway of like millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of bodies.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you.
It's not even comprehensible. Like I don't even know what number it would. Like
I can't even.
It's weird. It's weird to think that way, right?
Exactly.
It feels like almost like sick. Like I feel a little sick thinking.
Like what is the body count? Huh?
It's I literally don't fucking know what the body count of America is.
It's pretty high.
It's I gotta be higher than any other country in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Well, we're
yeah.
the greatest, so.
I mean, yeah, I wonder if British Empire probably pretty big. I mean,
I guess that's been continuous too.
I mean, and I wonder, I mean, I don't know what I mean, look, but it's, I mean, I think this focus on body counts also is weird, like, because there's also, internal, I mean, there's external, internal body counts. I mean, the worst part of it is, of course, not, I mean, okay, there's the external wars and killing, but there's the internal war and killing, not just, through economic means and through pollution and through all these other horrible things. I mean, like, so like, yeah, it's but it is, there's this, the American exceptionalism is a weird thing for like a Soviet immigrant like me. Like, I just, it's weird. Like, I mean, a lot of people who are like me who came here to America, I mean, they've totally absorbed that, like, and not only people here, but also like in Russia, like you'll have people in Russia like totally believing in American exceptionalism.
Oh, yeah.
And like also like weird stuff, like they're like, for instance, the Chernobyl show that came out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I watched two episodes.
Russians
of it,
love that show.
They
Really?
do.
In Russia. Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, like a certain class of people. Yeah.
Yeah. The kind of people who are like watching HBO show.
But no, but it's subtitled and all this
stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, true.
No, but it's still, I mean, like, yeah, they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this about it. We should have done something like that about us. Like, not in the sense like we should have done it differently. Like, it's amazing that they captured, us so well and that we weren't able to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
God
I mean,
damn it.
I
didn't
was
notice
watching-
it won all the awards, even though no one watched
in
it.
Russia, I mean, like, that's the whole thing. You go to these other countries, like, and even the people who might even be opposed to America, they're not like all like,
They're not,
like,
yeah.
Like even the nationalists or whatever, they're so colonized, like by American ideology. It's like Russia. It's like, it's funny when people say to me, "Oh yeah, they're like attacking." It's like, what are they attacking? They want to be us.
Yeah,
they are
exactly.
us.
They're wearing blue jeans and fucking drinking soda pop.
They believe in like neoliberalism. Neoliberalism to them is you don't question that. Like, it's not like a. It's like
it's a force of nature.
It's like, you don't like, what do you like? There is no alternative even possible. And
right.
And if you,
it's like
you talk
you're
about,
the fish, you don't see the water.
I mean, here people actually talk about alternatives. I mean, not everywhere, but like there's a big chunk of the population that actually is trying to actually think about, is actually not happy with it. And trying to think through something different. Maybe they're not really good, succeeding at it. But but the point is that you can actually talk critically about this sort of like this neoliberal way of life. Whereas in Russia, it's like, it is the way of life, and it doesn't matter if you're like a Russian Orthodox, guy like who like believes in the Russian Orthodox Church and like basically bring the country back to some kind of like Sharia law, but under like the Russian Orthodoxy, or you're like a Russian liberal who wants like America to basically intervene and overthrow Putin, or you're like a Russian Putin kind of oligarch who believes in sort of this nationalism and kind of security state nationalism. But you're still like what you think your values, like what you think life is for, like what like makes sense for you in the world, like what you live for. They're all American neoliberal values, and so it's like it's pretty fucking weird. Like it's pretty depressing going back there.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because you can't even. It's like that's the like. I mean, it's kind of fucked up. I mean, because like America's trying to grapple with this thing here, and around the world, no one even, especially in the former Soviet world, it's like.
Politics there are like I kept up on them for a while, and it's like it's really.
I mean, I only know
weird
like
world.
about Poland. I mean, I have a lot of family in Poland, and
Yeah,
like the situation in Poland is fucking wild.
Well, I spent a lot of time in Ukraine. Well, 3 weeks, but I spent a lot of time.
Huge amount.
I mean, I haven't.
Well, not a lot of Americans have been to Ukraine.
I also
where
haven't been to
where'd you
many
go?
other countries
Where'd you
either. I spent 2 weeks in Odessa.
That doesn't bolster your
Or,
case
like,
about how
2.5
you're not
weeks.
CIA, by the way, being like the only place.
Dude,
Ukraine
my
and
plan was
Syria.
this is also will bolster the case is because I was like I had this idea I'm going to write a novel about these people who lived in these caves, and Odessa has a catacomb system that's like 1,500 kilometers long.
Where?
Odessa.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As a catacomb system like 1,500 kilometers long that were limestone when they built the city. They basically like, and it's funny. There's actually
For burial area.
Yeah, but there are definitely bodies down there. But no, it's like it was basically mines, and then people lived in there. So you'd have like whatever transients living in there, and then during World War II, a lot of Jews and a lot of NKVD agents went down there too, and sort of like fought this because it's huge. I mean, this is like we went in one of the systems. You can't go whatever legally, but like you can just go. And we got my friend knew a guy who's a guide or who just goes down there, but he also takes other people. And he took us out basically to the equivalent of like Stockton. And we went down, and he's like, you could walk to downtown Odessa from here.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fucking amazing. There was like, there was graffiti, or not graffiti. There were poems and prayers written by Baptist Russians.
Interesting.
This small
From the
sector.
Soviet Union?
Exactly. No, before pre-Soviet Union.
Oh, interesting.
From like 1905 or
Orthodox.
something.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
So it was the Russian city.
Well, it's like a really it was like a really small group of them, I guess, that all became miners. But boy,
that's weird.
I don't. That's what the guy told me.
I mean, good for I love the Baptists.
Baptists.
Yeah, man,
no word on if there's another northern or southern.
Yeah,
that's
funny.
But like
coming to America, you know. Yeah.
People like were so excited that I was American.
Oh,
and, like,
what year was this?
This was in 2017.
Okay, so pretty recently. Oh,
yeah,
after the whole okay.
Yeah, but like there was also like I'm Jewish, you know, and like which.
So you're doing the whole like everything is illuminated trip kind of thing.
What's that?
Well, you know there was a book and there was a movie with Elijah Wood.
No, I know about it, but I never I know the plot.
It's like a cheesy sort of. I'm gonna go back to my great grandmother's like homeland, and it's a trip of self-discovery.
No, I wanted to write like a 5,000 word book about the Holocaust, or 5,000 page book about the Holocaust.
That's cool.
But I got pretty far in it, but then I started working in the factory, and I just
interesting.
Lost all
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
I still have it, still tap around on it.
Interesting.
But anyway, so I spent a lot of time there, and I was hanging out with these people. They were actually from Donbass region.
Yeah.
And they'd moved. They were kind of refugees.
Yeah.
And they were friends with punks I know from Russia who I met out here because they were on tour or whatever. And we were like walking around. And I was like, oh, look at all those like 40 pudgy youths in all black marching. Like, oh yeah, those are like Nazis.
Yeah.
And we walked by the place where the nationalists had burned the trade unionist hall.
Yes.
And then we went to, but it was like Odessa still has like not a large Jewish population, but it's like a Jewish museum.
It's a very Jewish city.
Exactly. I read a book about the Jews of Odessa.
There's a lot. Yeah, people live there. Yeah,
exactly.
Jews,
and it's like a fairly.
I know a Jew from Odessa that supports the Nazis.
Exactly,
what?
Dude. Yeah, no, that's not like weird. I know, dude. Check this out. I know a fucking
because they don't. Yeah, it's because they don't really think they're. Because they don't think that they're a real. They think that they're just these goons. They're not a real threat.
It's like football hooligans.
Basically, yeah, they're football hooligans, and they think that they actually served a good function, which is that because Odessa was like they keep the sort of the Russian people out and the Russian sort of influence out, and the Russian takeover of the city.
Odessa's like 40% Russian.
Sure.
And Odessa's it's a mobbed up city. It's a port. It's always been mobbed. So the mob is super strong there even now, And so so they just see them. So it's pretty weird to have a Jew talk about how that it's like actually he was actually like say, oh yeah, they burned him. It's like it didn't really bother him that they burned all these people in that building.
Insane.
This communists they burned.
And when I went to Kiev, there was just like straight up like they look like American neo-Nazis walking around.
No, yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. There's you can Ukraine it's weird. It's like it's very Yeah, man, but Odessa is not like any other city in Ukraine.
That's the impression I got.
Odessa is a very it's actually a very Russian city.
It's beautiful.
It's because it was built by the Russian Empire as a port town, so it has a very Russian history.
Well, that's where Potemkin
villages
came into being because I think it was Catherine the Great. I want to say she had that city built, and. I mean, this might be apocryphal, but I read it in a book about a history of Odessa that seemed fairly legitimate. I don't know. And Admiral Potemkin had on the side of the road built these like little, model villages to show.
Yeah, that's the story. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have to wrap up soon.
I know.
Because we've been doing this for
we could keep going for another hour, but.
Well, give me something positive.
Shit.
Like
I didn't know I had to become prepared.
I don't know, man. I just I think about it sometimes when we talk about we basically just told our entire audience that they're being watched and listened to at all times. Which they should know, but I don't say give me some positive news, but what can someone do
about what?
Just should they just throw away their phones? I bought
about the tech stuff.
I bought a bunch of Faraday cases.
Because I forgot already about what the hell. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much. Yeah, I don't even who the fuck cares? Let them watch you. All this paranoia about being watched and okay. Here's the thing: privacy. Is an American suburban paranoia. The idea that privacy. It's go to any other part of the world and like look at what privacy means.
Yeah,
to people.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
people
yeah.
don't live in the fucking suburbs, you know.
Right.
People
Yeah.
like
People
live
sit in the same room.
multiple generations in the same house, multiple generations sometimes in the same room. My mom, you know, when she grew up most of her childhood, she grew up in a huge room with 3 generations. You know, it was because it was like converted aristocratic sort of apartments.
so just large
They're
rooms,
called
yeah.
communal apartments, where they have, you know, subdivided a giant apartment into. I mean, in her apartment there was like 50 people lived in it. I mean, but it was
Yeah.
a giant apartment. There's the one bathroom, you know, like
Yeah,
there's still like
yeah,
one
yeah.
kitchen.
It's like an SRO.
Yeah, and so like, I mean, it's extreme, but you know, like I grew up with 3 generations in one apartment. My mom, my parents, my grandparents, my brother. Like, you know, people who are, you know, not like middle class or upper middle class, you know, don't experience privacy in the same way. You know, people aren't like so. This expectation of privacy is a totally. I mean, it's not just white, but it's a very white, very upper middle class. And actually, the higher up in the wealth scale you get, the more paranoid you are about privacy.
Yeah.
You know? So it's actually
I
a
see
very
this in like tech circles a lot in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
and so like it's
Well,
like,
that's the obsession with security.
so the
yeah.
whole thing is like, actually we need less privacy in a way, because the problem with privacy is it's like atomization, you know?
Yeah.
And like actually we're atomized so much that actually you need the opposite of privacy. I mean, so what are we worried about? What are we worried about
Yeah.
them like reading? Who are we worried? Are we worried about like the NSA reading our texts about like what?
I kind of am.
I mean, but what? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you should be flattered that they're reading your text and not give a shit. You know?
I know, yeah.
So
But
I
it's
actually
like-
don't care. I actually don't. I mean, I'm worried about, I don't know, like someone stealing, I guess, your ATM pin or something. You know, like I mean,
yeah.
but I mean, I don't
That's
even
fine
know,
with
like,
me.
Right,
yeah, I
right,
mean,
right.
but
What,
are
I
you
can
worried
get the
about
money
that?
back,
Yeah,
right?
I don't
They
even.
just
I like
refund
take
it to
out.
you.
Yeah, I don't even have that.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, I was like, what do you? Great,
So-
buy yourself a PlayStation 4 and then have no money left.
So I mean, I think people should stop kind of worrying about it.
Yeah.
I mean about tech. I remember when
But wait,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, what?
You wrote a book about it.
No, but I didn't write a book about the privacy movement. I talk shit about the privacy movement. I
Yeah.
criticize the privacy movement precisely because it's a movement of like political atomization and like
Right.
total like all our like interaction should be mediated through these apps, and we should all sit in like encrypted
Yeah,
bunkers.
yeah,
What
okay,
the hell
I
are
see
we,
what you're
what
saying.
kind of world is that? You
Well,
know?
here's the thing. It's like if you
It's-
want to have a secret conversation with somebody, do it.
Go to a park, yeah.
Exactly.
Go to a
go to a
beach, go
fucking
to the beach, yeah.
It
Yeah,
actually
totally.
it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Like if the security state clamps down on us, we'll have to spend more time
I mean,
together in nature.
I mean,
Maybe
like, what do
that's
you
why
do-
they
yeah.
won't ever.
What are you planning?
what I
You know,
mean?
what are you planning? Like, are you? I mean,
Nothing.
okay, like if you're planning the overthrow of some government, won't name the government here. Okay, well then you might have a problem. But
Yeah.
I don't think the signal is. First of all, you're going to be talking on signal.
Exactly, no.
And second of all, you're going to have a problem. You
No,
know?
like-
and so. Like unless you're working for the State Department or unless you're working for the for
Right,
the, for
right,
the
yeah,
CIA.
then you're like, hey, are
yeah,
we gonna do some direct action on a dam power
so,
plant?
so I think it's paranoia, man. I think it's the paranoia of the atomized, and I think when the privacy movement was at its peak, was at its apex, was actually like sort of the late Obama years when there was no politics at all.
Right.
And
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Bernie hit in 2016, it just wiped it all out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting. Like it just all of that disappeared, and suddenly people were like, "Oh yeah, we're like, there's other people we kind of care about same shit."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
people, it's just this whole libertarian privacy moment. Like it was
Pirate parties springing up everywhere.
yeah, exactly. But that was wiped out the moment that people started getting together a little bit. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a politics of atomization, and it's like privacy is first of all like a bad thing because it's like that means you're not talking to people. You're
Yeah.
not like interacting with people, and so I think like I mean, my whole book was not about that. I mean, was about the politics of the internet, right?
Yeah.
It was about the politics of technology and like the ideology that of like utopian technological liberation,
Yeah.
which these apps are a part of. You know, they give you the false sense that you're actually doing something political just by downloading a fucking app. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I mean, it's like politics
That's
by
very
app.
American.
Politics by app. It's very
Well, and we're exporting it everywhere.
totally and like but again, like it's. I mean, first Tor is used in Russia, but what's interesting about
Telegram.
Telegram, yeah. Telegram is used in Russia, but Tor is used to buy drugs and stuff like that, like and to like pirate movies. But the way that you get the drugs, actually, you don't get them by mail. They'll actually like hide them in the streets, like a dead drop.
Yeah, my guy used to do that sometimes.
That's cute.
It is kind of cool.
in
I
West
like
Oakland
that.
Park.
So I have people like kids will like walk around and be like sometimes check weird little
Yeah,
stuff,
like you check
hoping
into,
to
like,
helping
a-
to grab something.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
That's
cute.
very cute.
It's very social, actually.
It is
Yeah.
very
You
social.
got a
It's
little
like the
treasure
one thing
hunt.
they couldn't get rid of.
Yeah.
you know?
So because there's like the postal, you're not going to use the postal system, for that over there. So,
Fuck.
so
Yeah.
like so like, and you can so people do use it to buy stuff there, but
Yeah.
but it has like a communal aspect to it.
Well, because I remember when I was in mountainous region in the Middle East, they took our phones and they like took them far away because like they're like there's no point if you use your phone, a drone will kill you.
It's like that Four Lines
Exactly.
scene.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. That movie fucking rocks.
That
by
was
the way.
amazing, yeah.
Highly recommended.
Four Lines is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're basically like a target, a signal, like
Exactly.
Because and they do target drone strikes
Oh, yeah. Oh,
based
yeah.
on cell phone signals.
I think
Yeah.
they killed. I think that my like kind of theory about this is a guy who I don't know. I know his family, but he's from Sacramento. It's like another DSA guy died from a Turkish airstrike out there,
Crazy.
and I'm almost positive it was one of their first airstrikes on the Kurds of the war. And they just hit this one building that he and a couple other foreigners were in.
And you
almost
think it's
positive it's because of that.
So someone flipped open their phone, basically.
Yeah. People because people use their phones out there, and they're like, yeah, the Turks are looking at us, but like, what are they going to find out that like,
But
there's 50,000 of us, you know?
No, but they can hit. Yeah, but if they want to hit you.
Yeah, but they can hit us anyways because it's all flat and they can see it.
Yeah, I got you. If they
You
have
know?
if they have reconnaissance of any kind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they can, they can do it. You know, they could literally just carpet bomb and kill all of us.
Yeah.
But so that like, I mean, yeah, I guess the moral is if you're doing something illegal, don't do it on the phone.
It's like if you're look. I mean, encryption is always a thing of war, and like of it's a war. It's a technology of states that states use in a time of war or like in war with each other, or revolutionary movements use.
Yeah, true.
So okay, if you're in a war with a state, all right, well then you're at war with the state, and you're gonna like. The NSA spying on you is actually part of the war.
Yeah, you gotta. I guess you'd have to kind of figure out to turn that to your own advantage.
But if
put
you're
misinformation out there, whatever,
if you're like staging a direct action against something like, well, first of all, you're trying to organize something politically with other people. Like already
humans can just rat you out.
Yeah, humans are gonna rat you out, and like
Brandon Darby.
Yeah, exactly, and this stuff makes it easier because basically signal is only used by activists.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like a self-selecting thing.
Yeah, totally.
So it's like saying I'm an activist.
That's the thing. Downloading it is like it says to the user, I am an activist, but it also says to whoever's
so
looking
they
at their phone,
self-selecting,
I'm an activist.
so like okay, well we just got to bug their phone, so it's like a small subset of people.
Yeah.
And if they actually use it,
get on WeChat then, people listening.
Just don't fucking talk on the phone to anybody.
Just
go down to the local sock hop.
Exactly.
And meet some honeys. Well, we gotta wrap up.
I know.
Because this is like a 2-hour episode. But
Which rocks.
Yasha, thank you so fucking much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm
We
really
should
glad
do it
this worked
again.
out. Yeah. Absolutely. Next time you're in town, come over.
I'm
We'll have another
moving
4-hour.
I'm moving to LA, so
Rough.
I'll be coming up to my family lives in San Francisco. I'll be coming up to San Francisco more often. So.
Cool. Yeah. Would you got anything to plug?
Well,
We didn't even talk about the fucking water shit. Sorry, that was too loud.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't fucking talk
Next
about
time.
the water
Next
stuff.
time.
We're talking about water next time.
Next time.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
I'll plug my Substack, because everybody's got to hawk their shit.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
The yasha.substack.com. Sign up.
Sign
We'll
sign
link
up
to
that.
it.
Yeah. Intro it. Yeah, because I write about a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Sort of the weaponizing of nationalism and national identity, the weaponizing of immigrants, the whole soft power stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, that's your podcast, right?
It's more like a newsletter.
Okay. Didn't you do a podcast?
I did it. Yeah, I did just an interview with the guy who, uncovered that, like the foreign minister of Canada, Chrystia Freeland, her grandmother was a Nazi.
Yeah, I listened to that
collaborator.
earlier today. I was
it got into the weeds of like weird Canadian, like left wing, right wing Nazi politics.
Well, I read
because no one knows about that. Like, so there was like a war between the Canadian Ukrainian Nazis and like the Ukrainian sort of basically socialists, because the socialists were huge before the war.
Yeah, makes sense.
And they were like multi-ethnic. They were working class, farmers, miners, all that stuff. And so, but then after the war, all these Nazi collaborators came.
Specifically to Canada.
Yeah, a lot of it came to Canada, and there was essentially like a war between the two communities, and the right or the Nazi right or the fascist right, they were backed by power by the
Well, they were all in the
power.
process of becoming,
and they took over all of like the like sort of the like property, like actual like houses that they,
wow.
So they would have like their culture houses that they would like do
yeah.
like Ukrainian culture stuff, and they
Jesus.
actually did like a hostile takeover of all their communal property in Canada. Oh, not all of it, but like
Most
a lot
of
of
it,
it.
yeah.
So there's like this weird fucking history of the left versus the right in Canada, but in the Ukrainian community, just and it's pretty. I actually want to go. I'm trying to actually organize like a Ukrainian, a Canadian Nazi road trip, like to go through
God,
and to hit all of their, because they have like monuments to the SS and all
yeah,
this stuff there. It's like,
yeah.
It's pretty weird. Yeah,
it's like the the Baltic countries too.
yeah, and they funded all this like Nazi stuff, like cultural Nazi heritage sites for the Ukrainians with like multicultural.
Amazing.
That Canada,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's like being a Nazi is like multiculturalism.
I read this book called it's like Stepan Bandera in Memory or whatever, and it's like about Stepan Bandera's sort of legacy in all these different countries. It's like written not from a charitable perspective to him.
Oh, interesting. Who wrote that?
I don't know. I got it on my phone. I can show it to you.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting.
But boy, that the sort of Ukrainian diaspora and like the politics in that are just absolutely
Totally wild.
Totally wild.
No, they're
but
interesting.
we're gonna go on for another fucking hour.
I know,
unless
I know.
squanch this. Yasha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much. This is so fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
But we can just do the outro here, right?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. My name is I'm not going to say something funny. We have a guest. I'm Brace Belden.
I'm Liz.
Joined by producer Young Chomsky. And thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein.